Harris listening to the radio. I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I'm a big fan of vaccines. As a few of you know, I was a polio victim when I was a kid. It took 70 years to develop a polio vaccine, 2 of them that worked. Our country, as a result of the CARES Act and the $50 billion we put into Operation Warp Speed, developed not 1, not 2, but 3 highly effective vaccines in less than a year. It was a modern medical miracle. That doesn't work if people don't get vaccinated. So for whatever influence I can have over those decisions, I want to encourage everyone to get the vaccine.
Everyone should get the vaccine. Right. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. Mitch McConnell, of course, talking about that. And I just saw a story just popped up this morning. Nearly 3/4 of Americans say the COVID-19 Delta variant poses a serious risk. Okay, guys, Carl and Ryan are here with me today. Hello. I'm trying to figure out why are people so easily swayed by this stuff? 3/4 now are panicked about a Delta variant? Oh my gosh.
I don't know. It seems as if you've had COVID or if you've had the vaccine, you really shouldn't be as worried about this, but that fact seems to be falling by the wayside in the reporting of it anyway. Yeah,
it's so amazing to me how fear has taken over. And I'm sure you guys have seen this too. I've seen this in my personal life. People I never, and just, because many people don't know me who are listening right now. I'm Heidi Harris. I'm filling in for Annie Frey. I don't in any way downplay the seriousness of COVID. I've had it. I've had friends hospitalized from it. I know people who've died from it. So I've never downplayed it. But I'm amazed at the people who really have very little to fear statistically, who are just terrified, or they've already had it and have immunity and they're terrified. People I would never have put in the scaredy cat pearl clutcher column have now become so fearful, it's changing their entire lives. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I don't want to throw a relative of mine under the bus, so I don't want to say who it is, but it is a relative of mine. And
that's close enough.
It's probably somebody that we haven't seen much in the last year who, my kids want to see. And she's very, very afraid, and it's because of the reporting. And the minute something like this comes back out, we thought, this summer was going to get better. We were going to maybe see this person again, and everything was going to be fine.
Is she high risk?
No, she's older, so I guess she's in the older category. But she's now becoming more hesitant, and it's purely because of the reporting. And there's nothing you can do. We can talk all day till we're blue in the face,
right? And
there's nothing we can say because she saw it on NBC.
Yeah, that's the point. I've got a relative I've had an argument with who was upset that I was at his house sitting with another relative of mine, his wife, saying, well, have you been vaccinated? And I said, no, I've already had COVID. It used to be considered something that, and my mom jumped up, said, we're out of here. We didn't want to have a big fight. Nobody wanted to get into a fight in the family. But I'm amazed that people who have previously believed there was something known as immunity that you actually earn by having something. I mean, I'm too young for chickenpox parties. You guys are too. But there was a time when people would do that. A kid got sick. They bring all the kids over together. What?
I went to a chickenpox party. Yeah. I had chickenpox freshman year in high school.
Did you? So tell me about it.
It was not fun. It was, and all my friends, they all came over to come, so they could, the ones that hadn't got it came over to come get it. Because, you have it when you're a little kid. And when you're a little kid.
Usually younger than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Freshman year in high school, not fun. Wow. I stayed up all night trying not to scratch and just walking around my grandmother's house because I had little brothers and sisters and they didn't want to, they kept me away just long enough that they could get it.
Wow. But you had a chickenpox party. You had your friends over. They figured they'd all get through it and just get rid of it, right?
Well, because back then, if you didn't have that, you were more likely to get shingles, which has changed.
Right. Well, that's what they say as an adult, that if you had chickenpox as a child, that you were still more likely to get shingles as an adult. I have a friend who got a shingles vaccine, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling people not to get vaccines. I have a friend who got the shingles vaccine who got an autoimmune reaction so bad that she almost couldn't get out of bed for about 6 months. Wow. And apparently it was one of those rare reactions. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but it's a rare reaction until it happens to you, right?
Yeah.
And
have you heard anecdotally just people that having problems with the COVID vaccine at all? Because when we look overall at data, there doesn't seem to be a major problem. But it seems like everybody I know knows somebody who's had a pretty serious problem beyond just kind of like, well, I felt sick for a day, like real problems.
Yeah, I've got a friend whose husband got the vaccine. She wasn't there when it happened, or she would have said no way. He already had COVID. He got the vaccine. He was already blind in one eye from birth, I believe. 70-year-old guy, but very healthy, very young, veteran, just a salt of the earth kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's paralyzed
Whoa.
on one side, and now he's completely blind.
And they link it to the COVID vaccine?
Absolutely. He had 3 strokes within 3 days. This is a guy with no history of strokes. And I mean, he's been in the hospital now for 7 weeks. And this is the life-changing stuff that happens to some people. Now, I have family members like you guys do probably who've had this, who've been okay. I'm not saying everybody's going to die or be paralyzed because they get a vaccine. Everybody has to decide for themselves what their level of risk is. But what bothers me is the folks who want to say that you need to get the vaccine, talking to me, when I already have. I'm considered herd immunity. They told us that there would be herd immunity. Now that's out the door, and all they want to do is jam the jab into my arm, regardless of the fact. And it's not even a question of whether I think the vaccine is good or not. We know it's not FDA approved. Beyond that, it doesn't make medical sense that once you've already had something, your body has rallied to create the antibodies of the T cells they talk about. And then we're just ignoring that now and still sticking a jab in you. Why? Because somebody's going to make $1 from it? Yes, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and you can take your mask off if you go in the store if you're vaccinated, but if you have the antibodies, we don't even consider that as part of the equation for some reason. I think we talked yesterday, Heidi, about how my wife is, a teacher, so she's considering the pros and cons of maybe getting the vaccine just because of the whole mask issue, but we don't know what Illinois is going to be like once we do start school in August. So she's kind of weighing the pros and cons, and we've had COVID, so she's got the antibodies. She's off the charts on the antibodies. But we also just met somebody we've known for a while on one of my kids' sports teams, whose mom, we've gotten to know her pretty well. We know she's not making a story up. Her whole side of her face swelled up right after the COVID vaccine, and she's having vision problems in one of her eyes now. And we're like, well, I can see that. I mean, I can see your face has been affected by this. We don't know if it's directly linked to the vaccine or not, but she got it. And then the next day this happened. So it seems likely that that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, my mom had the vaccine and she's been fine. And my mom, though, has some problems, some medical problems, where if she got COVID, she probably would not survive. Now, I know people older than my mother who've gotten COVID and been just fine, not even hospitalized. They've been fine. My mom's got some issues. She's got some lung problems that she didn't create herself, never a smoker. And if she gets COVID, it would probably be the end for her. So when she got the vaccine, I don't know what kind of prevention it's even going to give her. I have no idea. But if she feels better about it and I can see her as a result, I'm happy with that.
I just can't believe that we're talking about the necessity to vaccinate kids now. I mean, that's what the Delta variant's doing. It's going through the younger population of people who either A, hadn't gotten it yet, or B, thought, I don't need to get the vaccine because I'm fine. And they're probably right. Like the death toll is not going up again. The case toll is just because of this variant. But that's, we should be considering hospitalizations and things, not cases. Because if you're, under, 15 years old or something like that, the survival rate for COVID is 99.9997%. Right. And we're going to get a vaccine that's, like you said, is still not FDA approved for a kid under 10 years old.
I think it's 12.
I don't know what the exact number
they've been
that they
testing
cut it
on them
off
from
is.
6 to 12.
Well,
right
yes, I'm talking about the survival rate.
Oh,
though,
right.
For kids under a certain age, it's off the charts. And so, for us to be considering having to vaccinate kids against this thing before school, it drives me crazy.
Well, it's frightening, and there have been problems with some women having problems with their reproductive system because of the hemorrhaging that causes it. We're not getting into all the details on that. And once again, I'm not a doctor, not telling anybody what to do. But it's just, you have to decide if your risk of dying of COVID is greater than the risk of any kind of possible side effects from the vaccine. And for a lot of people, I don't know why they'd want to necessarily get it. My friend who had the terrible reaction to the shingles vaccine that I mentioned to you, she was talking about getting the COVID vaccine because she loves to travel. And I've heard people say that. And I said, listen, I'm not telling you what to do. You're my dear friend. It's your decision to make. I said, but I'm warning you because of what I've read. you already had a terrible autoimmune reaction to a vaccine. And from what I've seen and heard and read, there's a lot greater likelihood of you getting a worse side effect. I said, just look into it. And I was going to say, ask your doctor. No, most of the doctors will say, yeah, get it. Like my friend's husband's doctor who told her to get the vaccine and now he's paralyzed. So I don't know that I necessarily ask your doctor, but I'd look into, you can ask the doctor too, but look into other points of view. What should scare everybody about these vaccines is the idea that it's so difficult to find another point of view on any social media platform. It's very difficult. And the doctors who have talked about this, and you might think some of them are crazy. Some of them talk about, we'll all be dead in 2 years. I mean, I've seen those videos. You guys probably have too. Some of those people may be a little out there, but their point of view should still be available so people can make their own decisions. When you look at something and you think everybody's trying to push this, McDonald's is trying to push this on coffee cups, Starbucks is trying to push this, everybody's trying to get you to get the jab. There's nobody saying, hey, maybe, no dissenting view, nobody putting their finger up and going, hey, wait a second, what about when that happens? People ought to be concerned when they're trying to silence any kind of dissent, or even if you're asking questions, now you're an anti-vaxxer, right? That's the big label they put on us.
Yeah, and it started with you get a free beer, you get a free donut. Now Ohio's giving away a free $1 million. So just practically speaking, I'm going to keep waiting until Illinois or Missouri is giving away a free $2 million. Wait it out, keep up in the ante. It's a little bit reverse psychology, I think, these incentives they're offering.
Yeah, that's true. Now in Nevada, it's not a lottery because the lottery is illegal in Nevada, believe it or not.
Wait, what?
That's about the only the gambling you can't do is the lottery in Nevada. So they came up with some kind of semi-lottery funded privately that's supposed to help people. And they're getting hardly any takers. That's because people in Nevada know a sucker's bet when we see one, right? That's the basic problem. We know the odds of winning are low. That's what it comes down to. So it's not encouraging anybody to run and get the jab. It's just, I think most of the people who want it have already gotten it. I don't know of anybody. Do you guys, anybody who wants it, who's not been able to get it at this point?
Yes.
I don't.
Really?
I know some. Well, this person has only gotten half, and you have to wait a certain amount of time, and then the schedule has just never worked out for that person to get the second one. And
so it's their fault. It's not the vaccine.
Well,
it's not the availability's fault.
Right. Oh, it's available, but this person has not been able to. They went on Saturday to get the second shot, and because so few people are getting them now, they couldn't get it because they closed at 11:30 rather than 12.
Just so you know, Heidi, if you're trying to make a point, Carl will do everything possible to try to circumvent that point in the future.
I'm here just for that.
Yes.
You know what? That's okay, though. That's why I love having the input from both of you guys. I really do. If you just tuned in, once again, I'm Heidi Harris. I'm not Annie Frey, filling in for the great Annie Frey here on 97.1 FM Talk and having a great time doing it. As you probably have seen, the Biden administration now has a lot of people pushing them, health experts, quote unquote, to push the vaccine passports. Now, certain states have ruled that you can't do this. God bless Governor DeSantis of Florida. God bless him. He stood up to them and basically told these people like the cruise industry, you can't require the vaccine. That's another thing that I've told people I know who travel. I've said, if you want to get it, that's your business. But if that's the only reason you're getting it, I would wait, because I don't think they're going to force this long term, because if you look at what is it, like 42% of the population has been fully vaccinated. I'm not looking at the numbers right now, but I think that's what it is. Does that sound right? Something like that. So if you look at look that up, Carl. Thank you. If you look at the numbers of the people who've been vaccinated as adults, and you look at all the empty planes and empty cruise ships that potentially could result, you're going to have a problem. What's the number, Carl?
53.
53%. Okay, we're getting up there a little bit.
12
Still, I think it's a business decision, I do believe. And a lot of businesses are going to say, you know what, too many people haven't gotten it yet. And if I try to force people to have it to get on this plane, they're not going to do it. But apparently, according to George Washington University public health professor Leanna Wen, she said the Biden administration shouldn't be so squeamish about vaccine verification. Okay, show of hands. Who had a fake ID in college?
I did not.
I
did
had
not.
friends.
Don't lie. Oh,
I was a good kid, Heidi. I was a good kid.
Okay. All right.
I guess you weren't.
No, I really wasn't a bad kid. I didn't want to go in and drink. I just wanted to go and hang with my older friends. That's what I wanted to do. So my point is, you know what I'm going to say next, right? You want a Vax card? Here it is. I bought it downtown Los Angeles or downtown St. Louis or any place. And there you go. I paid $50 for it. Try to verify it somewhere. That's what I'd say. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Miami. We've got, as you know, a mess down there in Miami. We're going to speak to an expert, a professor in structural engineering. That's coming up next right here on the Annie Frey Show. I'm Heidi Harris.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. This is the Annie Frey Show.
What's the value in doing business, at least in your mind, with good people? When you invest the money that you've worked really hard for because you want a product or a service, and you choose to go with the good people who do a great job and care about the quality of the work. Well, if that's important to you, Lakeside Renovation and Design deserves a phone call. 636-978-5000. Interior, exterior remodels, full-scale remodels, small projects, large projects. Lakeside Renovation and Design is committed to doing the very best work, which is why Lakeside is a destination career location for people who do this type of contracting work in St. Louis. They do have the very best, and they back their workers with a lifetime workmanship warranty on the services and the products that they do in your home, added to the manufacturer's warranty that already exists. Several decades in business with this commitment to people exactly like you. 636-978-5000, lakesiderenovationanddesign.com.
Businesses are struggling right now, which means a lot of good workers are being laid off. If this has happened to you, contact your employer and ask them to look into the Missouri Department of Labor's Shared Work Program at sharedwork.mo.gov.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a no-charge appraisal? It's never asking for a credit card or charging for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan.
No risk on refinancing, but I live for danger.
With our rates at a low 2.25%, refinancing with Golden Oak is anything but risky business. Get started today at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.195% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit. 11737 Administration Drive, St. Louis, Missouri.
Due to overwhelming demand, Diamonds Direct is extending our special finance offer through this Saturday, just in time for you to celebrate the 4th with some new bling. That's right, now through Saturday at 7 p.m., you can make any purchase at Diamonds Direct and spread your payments over 5 years without paying a dime in interest. It's easy, it's smart, it makes everything affordable. Diamonds Direct's best offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing now through Saturday. On approved credit, get store hours, directions, and details at diamondsdirect.com.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you have heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station as the financial expert for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend on 97.1 FM Talk. And in case you miss any of those shows, on his podcasts on Odyssey.com and search Safe Money 97.1. So call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Hi, this is Curtis Barks. I am the owner of Complete Auto Body and Repair, here to tell you about our touchless automotive service. If you're experiencing the constant struggles of having the kids home from school or just want more of that family time where you can listen to them teach you about what they do every day, we provide touchless automotive service, return the vehicle to you clean and ready to go in the comfort of your own home. Check us out online at CompleteAB.com for more information. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
You fix the cars.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-777-1979. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-777-1979. That's 800-777-1979. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with, call Big Lou at 800-777-1979. 800-777-1979.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon from my friends at Zero Res. Welcome to June. That is the official start of summer. Now raise your hand if it means you have a list you have to tackle this summer. The good news is you're not alone, and nobody knows that better than my cleaning heroes at Zero Res. Summer is probably the best time to call Zero Res to get all the nasty dirt, dander, and grime out of your home. This is kind of nasty. Speaking of nasty, did you know that the average home takes in over 40 pounds of dust and dirt a year? So your carpet is the biggest air filter in your home, so it needs some summer loving to keep it fresh and clean. This month's Mark Reardon 97.1 special, 3 rooms of carpet cleaned and sanitized, starting at just $129. This will be the easiest chore on your to-do list this summer because Zero Res does all the work. Don't forget about those air ducts. This month, get $50 off your air duct cleaning. The certified team at Zero Res is going to use their negative air 12-step cleaning process to extract all the crud out of the ducts. Call today. Book an appointment, 474-2020. Make sure you mention my name. Online, ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Up to the minute traffic reports, so you don't have to keep looking at your phone. Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company, the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. We are watching very closely what's happening in Miami. It is a disaster because when this thing first fell, I thought what a lot of people thought, this doesn't happen in America. Buildings don't collapse in America. The third world country, yeah, I get it. In America, a building collapses, especially an expensive one. Pretty shocking. Now we're hearing that the president of the Champlain Tower, South Towers Condo Association told residents in April of this year that their building was in desperate disrepair and urged them to pay the $15 million in assessments needed to fix structural problems. The condo board president wrote that concrete damage done to the building would multiply exponentially over the years, and indeed the observable damage, such as in the garage, has gotten significantly worse over the years. I've seen video of this building falling. There was one woman who called her husband right as the pool sunk in, the ground by the pool. She looked out and saw that sinking in, and then the building collapsed, and she didn't survive. The condo board president did survive. I guess her condo wasn't affected, but this is a disaster. And if you're living in a high rise, you're thinking, wait a minute, could mine be next? That's the question. Dr. John Myers is here. He's professor of civil engineering. So glad to have you, sir. Thanks for being here.
It's good to be with you, Heidi, and I'm only sorry it's under these circumstances of the building collapse.
Yeah, it's terrible. When I first saw this, I couldn't believe this was happening in America. What were your first thoughts just seeing this collapse?
Well, honestly, my first thoughts were, thinking about the potential loss of life, which is really tragic. And then secondly, seeing the video, and I started to think about, why would this have occurred? And, collapses occur due to multiple reasons. It can be due to the foundation, sinkhole, scour, material-related issues. So perhaps the building materials not up to specifications, design errors or issues related to the design, or construction defects, deterioration, which obviously is factored into this particular case, and then changes in the occupancy or overloading of the structure. So oftentimes when a collapse occurs, there's multiple reasons of those I just listed that factor into the collapse. So these are rare occurrences. To your first point, our codes and standards are really designed to have a very, very low risk of building collapse. But of course, it's not zero. We, especially under the situation of natural or man-made hazards.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We're speaking with Professor from University of Missouri, Rolla. His name was Dr. John Myers. He's a civil engineering professor. It's so sad when you look at what happened. And as you mentioned, there might have been an occupancy situation because apparently what we're hearing, and we're not expecting you to, do the legal analysis of this at all. But apparently there was a penthouse level put on this afterwards, after the entire thing was approved or something like that. Some people are saying, as you mentioned, that could be an issue. We don't know. Can you explain spalling to me? Because I looked it up. I had to look up the word, having read about it in some news stories, what it is. And explain it to me like I'm 2 years old, Professor, please.
Right. So there was a 2018 engineering report by Orabito Consultants, and that's available on the web for your audience if they're interested to read a little bit more about it. But there was evidence of deterioration of the building, in particular corrosion. So when you get into the South Florida or coastal areas, of course, you're close to salt water. And so there's even a lot of salt in the air that will attack the reinforcing steel and cause it to corrode. And when that corrosion occurs, it puts additional pressure on the concrete that's around it, and that forces the concrete to fall off or spall off. So in terms of spalling, it usually occurs because the reinforcing that's in the concrete is expanding due to the corrosive products that occur due to the corrosion. And the primary reason for corrosion is the salts or chlorides attacking it. So here in the Midwest, we're most familiar with like bridge decks more so than buildings, because buildings are protected by, the perimeter of the structure. And usually we don't have a problem with the buildings, but in cases where you have outside parking garages in the Midwest, or when you get down, to places like the Southeast or along coastal areas, you'll typically see more problems with substructures of buildings. And, so there's evidence of that. There's reports. There was also work done, I think fairly recently by Florida International that was studying the settlement of structures in the area. And so, Florida in particular is very susceptible to sinkholes, but there was certainly evidence of some foundation issues with this structure. So you have deterioration going on, you have settlement of the building, and keep in mind anytime you have corrosion, you're losing part of the steel that is carrying the loads of the building. So that's very dangerous, particularly for primary load-carrying elements such as columns in buildings. They carry the entire, load of the building down to the foundation system. So if you have problems with the foundation, design errors, construction errors, it was reported that one of the problems with the pool and the deterioration that's occurred in the parking level and the pool deck area was that it wasn't designed well for when it rained for water to sort of run off. And so if it pools or ponds and there's salts in that water, that can permeate into the concrete and attack the steel.
Oh, see, I'm glad you said that, Professor, because I did not know. I was going to ask you that next. I know Ryan's got some questions for you, too. I didn't know that we're speaking with Dr. John Myers. He's a professor of civil engineering at the University of Missouri. I'm going to ask you that question about how it is that rebar, because about where I am in Vegas, we put rebar in pools all the time. We know what it is, but I was not aware of how the rebar could be affected, go through the concrete. So you're saying it's the salt water that affects it, that allows it to get to the rebar.
Yeah, typically the chlorides in the salt is what attacks the reinforcing. And for sort of the novices out there, concrete is really great in compression, but it's weak in tension. So we put reinforcing steel in the concrete to help carry the tension forces. So if you start to lose the ability of the steel to carry all of its intended loads, the concrete really can't carry it. And some of that concrete is lost due to the spalling. So then the structural element can no longer carry as much loads as it was intended to. Now, one particular thing, because you brought up a really important point about, sort of the state of the building. If we differentiate bridges and buildings, all of our bridges in the United States that span over 20 feet are inspected every 2 years. So someone physically goes out and inspects those. In terms of the buildings, it's the owner that's responsible to oversee and maintain it. So it's the individual owner of the building that's responsible. And so oftentimes buildings may not be inspected that regularly, and that can of course be a challenge or a concern there. We had a bridge failure in 1967 in West Virginia, and after that occurred, the Federal Highway Administration instrumented a program where all of our bridges are inspected to help with the reliability and safety of bridges. But as I said, in the case of most buildings, they are self-contained, by a perimeter wall system. So normally the internal sort of structure of the building is better maintained than a bridge that's in a total exterior environment. But when you have building components like a pool and things like that, parking garages where they're open to weather, you definitely need to keep a closer eye on those long-term in terms of maintenance.
We're speaking with Dr. John Myers, professor of structural engineering here in Rolla. Got to ask you sort of the big question that if anybody's listening that they probably want to know, if I live in a high rise here in St. Louis or Clayton, or maybe even just a 3-story building or taller here in this area, am I in any danger? Are the codes different here? Is the water level, the sea, all of the factors you were talking about in Florida, is any of that a factor here? Am I in danger?
No, you should not be concerned. So our codes and standards, we have a national design standard. If it's a concrete building, we use the ICC code, which uses the American Concrete Institute design standards, and all of these are developed with safety factors in mind. We call them load factors. So we design a building for a certain, what we call dead load. That's the actual self-weight of all the materials in a structure. And then we add on the live loads, so the occupancy, the things that are movable, as well as the occupants. And then we take those loads and we increase them by about, on average, over 40%. And we also take into account that some of the materials may deteriorate over time. And so when you couple all of this together, we have a very low probability that anything can happen in these structures. But normally, like I said at the beginning of our conversation, it usually is multiple things that occur. So it could be a tiny little design error where, okay, this pool doesn't wick away water quickly. You could think of a flat roof. Okay, if you have a flat roof on a building and it's not designed for that rainwater to run off properly, and it sits there in ponds, to where you get several inches or feet of water that builds up. Obviously, that's an unanticipated load that could cause a problem on a structure. But we're as a structural engineer, we're trained and we design with all these factors in mind, and so you should not be concerned. These are very rare occurrences, and usually when something like this unfortunately happens, there's often warning signs, and I think that clearly there was evidence that there was problems with the structure, and for whatever reason, they weren't addressed in a timely fashion, which is a real tragedy.
Yeah, it sounds like the board was arguing with each other and all kinds of things were being neglected. One last question for you, Dr. John Myers, and we appreciate you being here, by the way, today, Professor of Civil Engineering at Rolla. I bought a few houses in my life, but I've never bought a high rise. If you buy a high rise condo or something like that, should you have somebody go down and do a structural engineering check? I mean, I would imagine that's going to be more popular now. Is that something that's normally done when you buy a place in a high rise building?
Well, I think that any residential house or structure that's purchased should have an inspector. I normally believe that's required in most states. So I would think that if you're buying a condo, that when your residency is inspected as part of the transfer of the ownership and deed, that they also take a general inspection of the overall structure. One thing we hadn't really talked about is redundancy in the structures. So long ago, when we designed structures, we didn't think about redundancy. And when I talk about redundancy, if one structural element fails, like one column or one beam in a parking garage or high-rise building, now we also design buildings to where we have what's called alternative load paths. So if one element fails, the entire structure will not collapse. That wasn't always the case. So, back in the last century and, the early 1900s, we didn't really recognize that as much, just as designed for earthquakes and as extreme events. But, I'm sure the report will come out on this and sadly we'll see, there were warning signs and there were multiple factors that came into play in terms of what happened there.
No question about it. Dr. John Myers, professor of civil engineering at Rolla. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the time this morning. You have educated all of us.
Okay, thank you very much. Take care.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
It's Mark Reardon for CertaPro Painters, and if you have a painting job that's on your to-do list, don't do it yourself. You're going to do something that's a lot more fun than painting, and you're going to go with CertaPro Painters, and they're going to do a great job. They're going to knock it out of the park. This is for house painting, commercial painting. They do it all. They transform homes and businesses by providing expert services with a proven process. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Get started today. A free estimate is just a couple of clicks away. CertaPro.com. That's CertaPro.com. Certa with a C. Get with CertaPro today. Tell them that I sent you over. CertaPro Painters.
Hi, this is Tracy, president of Acropolis Technology Group. I want to start by recognizing our team's exceptional hard work during this pandemic, and apparently our clients recognize it as well. We were just honored by not winning one Best in Business award, but 4 Best in Business awards. We won Best IT Firm, Best in Cybersecurity, Best in Customer Service, and Best in Value. These 4 awards are a culmination of our team's hard work every single day, all done during the most challenging year we've had in our 24-year history. What these 4 awards tell me is that we are recognized for being experts at our craft. We do it in a friendly way, and our clients see value from partnering with us. I can't think of 4 better awards that summarize what it is we do for our clients each and every week. Acropolis has been helping some of the region's best companies protect, optimize, and grow their businesses now for many years. We have done it for them, and we can help you too. To find out more, give us a call or visit us at acropolistech.com. That's Acropolis, TECH.com. Acropolis. It's a better way to manage IT.
This is the season of big celebrations, weddings, graduations. Be sure you can see them clearly. Mark Cox here for my friends over at Brenton Vision. My wife, Michelle, went to Brenton Vision, had a modern version of LASIK called RLE. That is lens replacement, and she no longer needs glasses or readers, doesn't have to be concerned about cataracts. And when my son walks across the stage, she'll be able to see it clearly. You can too. Dr. Jason Brenton is a Harvard-trained surgeon, and he has got thousands of satisfied customers right here in the greater St. Louis area. You can find out online at BrentonVision.com. You can take a test to see what you might be a candidate for. Brenton Vision is the only place in St. Louis where you'll find all 7 forms of modern vision correction. Call them today at 314-375-2020, 314-375-2020. You can book right now online at BrentonVision.com.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. This is where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Join the conversation digitally. Download the Odyssey app and tune into the #1 talk station in St. Louis at any time.
Let me talk to you.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
We saw this on display on January 6th. We told you a couple of weeks ago, based on language in publicly available indictments, that the FBI clearly had foreknowledge of the riot at the Capitol that day. And the agents we spoke to this weekend confirmed that is true. Quote, the FBI had sources in that crowd, confidential sources, snitches. That's 100% certain.
God bless Tucker. He doesn't back down. I love this guy. We're going to talk a little bit later in the show about how the NSA apparently has been going after Tucker and getting into his private and confidential communications. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later in the show. I'm Heidi Harris. I'm in for Annie Frey. Carl and Ryan are here, and we're having a great time this morning. Learned a lot from the doctor, right? Dr. Myers, the civil engineer.
Yeah, I mean, the key is, you know, when you see a building collapse, I mean, not only are we all mourning for the loss of these very, very innocent people, but we all then turn internally and we go, well, what about us? Like, are our buildings safe? And it sounds like we don't really have much to worry about them.
Well, you know what's interesting, too, and I'm glad you asked that question because that is true. You worry about it probably less in this part of the country than you would in Florida, places like that, correct? Obviously. Yeah. But, you know, what's interesting to me is the woman who was the condo association president told people 2 months ago, she said in April, she said the building's in desperate disrepair, and she wanted people to pay $15 million in assessments. Now, I've lived in an HOA. I don't now. And I know that the assessments, you know, people get really irritated when they want another assessment for whatever to paint, to do this, to do that. And if you look at about what they had, 136 units, I think. So we're talking about 100,000 or something plus per person to get this done. And some of these people, apparently the board was replaced when they said these things. And then they got a new board in and things weren't getting done. And it sounds like people were concerned, but I don't know that anybody actually, clearly no one thought it was going to collapse though. But, you know, that's how HOAs can be sometimes. People argue, is it really going to be 15 million? You know, we got a lower estimate before, and then they're squabbling. You know how the boards are.
Yeah, it did sound like everybody, to some degree or another, knew there were problems with the building. It shocked me, and I don't know if this just came out or if I just noticed it, that this contractor that walked through 2 days before it collapsed, this guy was walking around taking pictures. There's water all over the basement. There's problems everywhere. So not only do they know there were problems enough to have a contractor be coming in to give them bids, but they've got pictures right before it happened of why it was happening. I mean, again, we talked yesterday, like, who is responsible? Who are they going to hold culpable for this? I don't know the answer to that question, but somebody will because they've got tons of evidence.
Well, that's true. And apparently when they first started talking about this, there's a professor, he's a retired college professor from Philadelphia, moved to Champlain Towers South 3 years ago. Told USA Today on Saturday the residents knew about an October 2018 report warning of major structural damage and ultimately voted to make fixes, though reaching that agreement took some time. He said it wasn't like people were ignoring it, but there was a $7 million price tag initially. That led to turmoil on the board. The board, they cared a lot about it, but then the board got turned over. And he said they'd been talking about it for quite a while, but some people were concerned about the financial aspects of it. Some of these people, and we, you know, can't speak to everybody. Obviously, these were pricey condos. Some people have lived there for a very long time. It's been built since 1981. Some people probably lived there since day one. At least one guy I saw interviewed lived there for 20 years. And maybe when you bought it, you could afford it. Maybe now you just can't come up with $100,000, right, for some kind of assessment. Sure. And maybe a lot of people were concerned about that.
So do you know much about how New Orleans works? Since you're a woman of the world? A woman of the world. What do you mean as far as the fact that we pay for everything that gets destroyed in a hurricane? Yes, I mean, that's exactly why I'm asking, because not that it would be the same issue happening there, but they're constantly, the tide or whatever comes in and is supposed to be washing up silt into New Orleans constantly to replace the land there, but it's all just washing away. And that's where I would be nervous. I mean, Florida has its own issues, but when we're talking to that structural engineer a minute ago, all I kept thinking of is New Orleans, because these problems are like baked into the way that whole city is set up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they should give it back to the alligators, frankly, in New Orleans. I mean, and that's the problem when some of these cities and some of these places, like people who build houses in the Outer Banks and things like that, right? And they get destroyed during hurricanes. Who pays for that? You and I pay for that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And if people got their house destroyed, now some people can afford to rebuild their house after it's destroyed. But if it was all on you as a person who built a house in an unsafe area, whether it's a flood zone, whether it's a hurricane zone, whether it's a fire zone, whatever, you ought to be paying for that. For example, in California, when they have these horrible fires, which they have in other places, but in California, they won't cut a dead tree down to save their lives. They just won't do it. And so these fires come in and they destroy hundreds of thousands of acres. The last one they had in California, I actually saw a video. Here we go again. There's the tanker chopper that's going to drop a bunch of water, but there's a full pool right there. And if it were me, and I'm not a big fan of regulations, you have a house on a hill like that, you have to have a pump in your yard that will pump your pool water. There was a guy in California a few years ago who sat there and he had a pump and he put 20,000 gallons of water on his house while he watched his neighbor's houses go boom, 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 and all burn to the ground. But he had put a pump in to take advantage of the pool water, because when the trucks come up onto the hillside, they only have so much water in the back of those trucks. Everybody should have to be able to pump the water from their pool or allow the fire department to do so, because ultimately when there's any kind of a disaster, we're not talking about the building in Miami where nobody had any warning. We're talking about the disasters at a hurricane, a fire, something. You got days notice. You are the first responder. It's up to you to be responsible for your family, your pets, your stuff. And a lot of people just wait around and go, well, where's government? Well, come on. It's the old joke about, you heard this one, the guy on the roof and the water's rising and a guy comes by in a boat and says, jump in quick. And he says, nope, God's going to save me. And then a little bit later, somebody else comes by in a boat. The water gets higher. God's going to save me. Then the third time, the helicopter comes by. Quick, grab the rope. Nope, God's going to save me. Then he gets to heaven and he says, God, thought you were going to save me. He said, I sent you 2 rowboats and a helicopter.
Yeah.
What else did you need? Right? You've heard that joke.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking to the broader point that you're talking about, like with the floodplains, for instance, the free market takes care of a lot of that stuff, because the flood of 93 here in St. Louis, it was huge. And there's certain areas now where, sure, you can build there, but you can't get insurance. And so go ahead, it's on you, and that's the way it works. But you're right. There are some things. This is kind of where government does have to step in and create some sort of regulations, because when FEMA comes into an area and tries to fix everything and takes care of everybody like the nanny state, yeah, it's nice. But if you keep making the same decisions and they're bad decisions, at some point you have to be responsible for them, not everybody else.
Right. And if your house in the Outer Banks, it gets blown away by a hurricane and you don't live there most of the time anyway, nothing you care about's in the house, just a summer home, and government's going to pay to rebuild it. What incentive do you have to not to continue to rebuild there? And you and I are paying for that. I don't have a summer home in the Outer Banks. Do you guys?
Mine got blown away, so no.
I only built back twice. So I stopped after
built
2.
Back twice. Yeah, he's a master builder, so he can do it quick.
And listen, we're not hating on rich people here, but we're talking about personal responsibility, no matter where you are, no matter where you live. And there are people who won't do it. A lot of the people who wound up during Katrina in the dome, the main reason most people wound up there is they didn't have enough food and water to last them 72 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I used to be that person. When I was single, I had nothing but condiments. Relax, everybody. Salt, pepper, A1. That's all I had in my fridge. So I understand what that's like. And it's very easy to wind up in a world of hurt if something catastrophic happens. But you have to be the first responder, especially with hurricanes. There's no excuse. You had 4 days warning. You watched that little spinning thing for 4 days on CNN.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you didn't know.
Yeah.
And now you're going to go buy a generator? Now you're going to buy wood for the windows? A little late now, buddy.
Yeah. And all of this, none of this actually affects the Miami building because there was no warning.
Right.
But we've gotten off topic. But I think all of the things we're saying are true. They just don't apply to this one situation.
No, it doesn't. But it does break my heart that people knew this and were trying. Some people were trying to get it fixed and others were maybe hesitant to spend the money. And that's a disaster for those folks. It breaks my heart. It truly does. All right, coming up, Mark Cox is going to join us. Very excited to speak with him coming up in just a few moments. And have you guys seen this new ad for the NFL? It says football is gay. Really? We'll talk about it. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
Come to the enchanted attic. Come to the enchanted attic. Come to the enchanted attic.
Diane, what are you doing?
I'm chanting. Come to the enchanted attic.
But why do you keep saying come to the enchanted attic?
Duh, because it works like magic. Tony, every time I say come to the enchanted attic, people show up at our store.
Well, you can keep chanting if you want to, but I know why people shop at our store.
And I know what you're going to say. It's those healing gemstone mugs you picked out.
Yes.
And our large crystal and stone collection that you picked out.
Yes.
But what about our unique silver and gemstone jewelry?
That you picked out?
Yeah.
Well, it is pretty amazing.
So come to the Enchanted Attic, 304 South Main Street in historic St. Charles, 636-949-9502. Free gift with every purchase. We love this store.
Tired of poor fuel pillaging your engine's power? Fight back with Howe's Diesel Defender. Defender's IDX4 detergent conquers all harmful deposits and shields off their return. It maximizes lubricity, providing superior protection to your entire fuel system. With unyielding strength, it boosts fuel economy a minimum of 5%, guaranteed. Defend your engine with the force of a horde of Vikings. Let Howe's Diesel Defender keep your vehicle performing like a true champion all year round. Explore even more at howesproducts.com.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Race fans, I'm IndyCar driver Ed Jones. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 Race to the Saving Sales event is on, and you're the winner all summer long at every Bommarito location. Purchase or lease any new or pre-owned vehicle, get your best deal, and receive 2 tickets to the Bommarito Automotive Group 500 on August 20th and 21st. That's the Race to the Saving Sales event going on now at every Bommarito location and bommarito.com. And I'll see you at the track.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
We stay in the soup this afternoon. Very, very humid.
Rescue crews continue efforts to find survivors of a partial condo building collapse in Florida. The White House says President Biden will visit the site later this week.
President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are traveling to Surfside, Florida Thursday, where a condo collapse last week killed at least 11 people. Crews are continuing search and rescue operations with 150 people still missing. The president has been updated by FEMA officials, and in a phone call with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, has promised all federal assistance necessary.
Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol Hill. Today, President Biden is in Wisconsin, highlighting his administration's infrastructure proposal and its effects on the nation's economy. Iranian-backed militias have responded to U.S. airstrikes carried out Sunday.
U.S. forces in Syria, while under multiple rocket attack, acted in self-defense and conducted counter-battery artillery fire at rocket launching positions. The Iran-backed groups vowed revenge after U.S. troops hit facilities in eastern Syria and western Iraq, where the Pentagon says Iran's proxy forces have recently launched crude drone attacks against Americans in Iraq. The U.S. airstrikes, the second time President Biden has ordered them, have irked some Democrats on Capitol Hill because of the White House's decision to carry them out without informing Congress first.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the Pentagon. The Supreme Court today ruling that the government can indefinitely detain certain immigrants who say they will face persecution or torture if they are deported to their native countries. The court's 6 conservative justices held that the immigrants are not entitled to a hearing about whether they should be released while the government evaluates their claims. The case involves people who had been previously deported and when detained after re-entering the U.S. illegally, claimed that they would be persecuted or tortured if sent back. America's listening to Fox News.
These are tough times, but it's even worse if you're stuck paying endless fees for a timeshare you were misled into buying.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, and now, more than ever, taking care of our physical and financial health has never been more important. If you were told that timeshare was a great investment or your maintenance fees will never go up, you need my help. In 2020, a lot of things have changed. One thing hasn't: our commitment to helping good folks just like you cancel your timeshare permanently. We've helped over 13,000 families completely eliminate their timeshare debt, saving them an average of $65,000 in lifetime timeshare payments. So call my office today. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley Financial Group now for your free information kit. 800-940-3322. 800-940-3322. 800-940-3322.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
We stay in the soup this afternoon. Very, very humid with a mix of clouds and sunshine and scattered showers and some strong thunderstorms in the 80s to near 90 degrees. Tonight, scattered showers and thunderstorms fade during the evening. Otherwise, partly cloudy, 70. Keep the pattern going Wednesday and again Thursday with scattered showers and thunderstorms, 80 to 85 each day. Break it for the holiday weekend. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
How much confidence do you have right now in the economy staying status quo? That things are going to continue to go in the direction they're headed, or things are going to get better? How comfortable do you feel about knowing that things in a month, in 6 months, in a year are going to be the same? Well, rates are low right now. And while they are low, reach out to Stewart's American Mortgage to secure one of those low rates for yourself. Now, I know that you can go to any mortgage lender and acquire some of these low rates. When you go to Stewart's American Mortgage and you work with Stewie, you are going to use the bagel loan, which is going to save you all that money up front because he's not going to charge you the lender fees that every other lender out there will charge you for. Others will say they can do what Stewie does, and they say that they just roll the fees into the loan like Stewie does, but that's not what he does. He does not charge you for these lender fees. It's called the bagel loan because it looks like a zero, and that's what he charges you in lender fees. They don't exist. Trust me, I've done it myself. That's the real truth. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Stewart'sAMC.com, NMLS number 226715.
Hi, this is Lance Drury. If you have payroll tax problems, you have serious legal problems, you need an attorney. Call 314-260-6120 or toll free 888-367-6512 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
Planning to chill out this summer? Ameren Missouri is offering up to $900 back when you purchase a qualifying HVAC system. So keep the heat where it belongs, on the grill. Find terms at participating contractors at AmerenMissouriSavings.com/HVAC.
Spring is a great time to upgrade the energy efficiency in your home with new windows. Mark Cox here from my friends at Window World. I'm a satisfied customer. You will be too. Call them today for a free home estimate. They'll show you why they are simply the best for less. Window World windows are so durable. They stand behind their windows with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts and glass breakage and labor. They were ranked #1 in windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine, and they're the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. Window World does great work, as they did in my home when they replaced 2 large bathroom windows. They measured them, they built them, and got them installed in no time. You will love working with my friends over at Window World. They're now offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 993-1800, or windowworld.com.
Coleman's Campers will donate $100 to Folds of Honor for every camper sold until July 10th. Whether you're shopping for your first camper or next camper, we have options to fill your taste and budget. Coleman's Campers in Hartford, Illinois, where customers become friends.
If you're tired of dealing with a wet basement or crawl space and worrying about the damage it's doing to your home, call B-Dry, your waterproofing experts for over 60 years. B-Dry's proven and patented methods completely combat the most common ways water enters your basement, and B-Dry offers a limited time warranty. Call B-Dry now for a free estimate and save $500 off your waterproofing system. Call 1-800-966-2379 or BDrySolutions.com. That's BDrySolutions.com.
97.1 FM Talk is now streaming on the Odyssey app. It's your home for streaming The Mark Cox Show, Brian Kilmeade, The Annie Frey Show, and Mark Reardon on your phone. The Odyssey app for streaming 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not a married sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not a married sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Everything for Annie Frey. Having a great time here today and looking forward to speaking with somebody I have followed for years. Stephen Moore is an economist. You've seen him on cable. You've read his columns for years. How are you, sir? Welcome to the Annie Frey Show.
Hi, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Always glad to have you. I saw a story in the New York Post I laughed about over the weekend. I'm sure you saw it. Unemployed rolls shrink faster in states that cut federal benefit. Wow, what a shock.
Yep. Yeah, isn't it? I mean, by the way, the 10 states with the highest unemployment rate, or the lowest unemployment rate today, all are red states with Republican governors, and 9 out of the 10 states with the highest unemployment rates are blue states with Democratic governors, states like, Illinois. So it is amazing. This policy stuff really does matter. It's absurd that states like Illinois and Connecticut, New Jersey, New York have not suspended these $300 a week extra unemployment benefits. Heidi, there are 9.15 million open jobs in America today. Anyone who wants a job can get one. Uncle Sam is paying people way too much money to sit on the couch.
That's true. It's amazing how quickly they find their front door when the checks are cut off, right? In these various states.
It's true.
We're speaking with economist Stephen Moore. You've been tweeting the last couple of days about Arizona, and it was interesting. They're talking about a flat tax. Talk to me about that, because I was not aware of this special interest. They come into these states, they push these things. People who don't even live there try to get legislation and taxes increased. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, the left is everywhere. So they're going to be trying to do these tactics in Missouri. Well, mark my words. So in Arizona, which has always been a reliably red state, although it allegedly went for Trump in the election, for Biden in the election, although there's some mystery about that. Let's put it like that. The out-of-state groups came in and spent millions of dollars to convince voters to pass an initiative that would raise the income tax rate by, I think, like 3.5 percentage points, and then use the money for schools. Well, we got that overturned in the legislature. We got a flat tax in. It's going to make Arizona very competitive again. I mean, Arizona is a real hot state in many, no pun intended, but it is a state that is attracting a lot of people from all over the country. Not this time of year when it's 101 degrees, but it's a great success story. Of how, and by the way, a flat tax, what I favor for states, by the way, Heidi, you ready for this? I'm for a flat tax of 0.
Right. I like the idea of doing that, because there still would be plenty of money in the economy even if you did that.
Yeah, there's 9 states, right? A lot of people are probably thinking, oh my gosh, how does Steve Moore think they're going to pay their bills if they don't have an income tax? Guess what? There's 9 states, Heidi, 9 states that have no income tax. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Right. I didn't realize it was 9. I thought it was 2 or 3. I know Nevada is one of them.
No,
Nevada,
there's 9.
Florida.
And I'm gonna list them for you. Are you ready? Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Nevada, Washington, South Dakota, New Hampshire, Which one's Wyoming? I might have missed one or two, but we've got a lot of, and they can pay their bills, and they actually do have infrastructure, they do have schools, and they do have running water. They have the things that other states do, but they're growing like crazy because people want to move, especially business owners want to move to a place where you don't have to pay income tax.
Right, that's true. We're speaking with economist Stephen Moore. That is so important because when business owners are deciding where to go, these are all the things they're looking at. And what's the legislature going to do in the next couple of years? What's what's the economy going to be? Not this week, not this month, 5 years from now. That's what they're looking at.
Exactly. And what you want in a good tax system is to tax people on sort of what they take out of the economy, what you consume, not what you put into the economy, your work, your effort, or your entrepreneurship, your long hours of, working. Why do we tax those things? So it's amazing. By the way, I've got to tell you, Heidi, because I've got smoke coming out of my ears right now on this. Did you see that bipartisan infrastructure bill? They came to that handshake agreement on Friday.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So did you know in that bill, I'm so angry about this. I can't believe a single Republican went along with this. It increases, it almost doubles the budget for the Internal Revenue Service. And they will hire 75,000 additional IRS agents, tax snoops to go through your personal records, to have more audits of people. It sounds like a proctology exam, right? This is so outrageous. Why would Republicans go along with hiring 75,000 more IRS agents? If we didn't have a federal income tax, if we had a national sales tax, we wouldn't even need to have an IRS.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. We're sticking with Stephen Moore, economist. It's amazing to me that the Republicans continue to cave on things like this. And I guess they're afraid. They're afraid that the Democrats are going to use this against them and say, oh, they voted against a bill that would have provided all these infrastructure jobs and fixed our crumbling bridges. And they don't come back with their own version of what the situation. That's what the Republicans have to do. They've got to fight back. You are exactly right. And by the way, don't anyone fall for this false advertising that this is an infrastructure bill. About $200 billion of the $1.2 trillion in that bill is for roads and bridges. Most of it is for, like I mentioned, $40 billion for the IRS. They've got money for, you can remember this one under Obama, the high-speed rail? We spent $50 billion for high-speed rail, and it never carried a single passenger. All the systems went bankrupt. Now Biden wants more of that. He wants $10 billion for electric vehicles. Now, I'm not against electric vehicles. I have a good friend who has a Tesla. I like to ride it. It's an incredible vehicle. But why should the government tax me to pay you to buy a Tesla? Yeah. It's incredible. And they don't pay attention to this. I don't know what the end game is for Republicans. I truly don't know. We're looking at 2022, staring them in the face, and they've got to find their spines quickly. Yeah, you're so right. And it's so important for Republicans to win the House and Senate back. I think we have a chance as Republicans to win back about 25 seats in the House. And I think the Republicans are going to win a net 3 or 4 in the Senate because, Biden has moved so far to the left. Heidi, did you ever think that Biden would be this left wing? Well, I don't think Biden's controlling it, to tell you the truth, economist Stephen Moore. I don't think he may be right about that. This is a guy they prop up like Weekend at Bernie's and stick him out there on stage. The guy's embalmed already. I don't know who's making these decisions, but it's not Biden. This guy can't decide what to have for breakfast. I'm not making fun of him, but it's not funny when the leader of the free world can't say anything without screwing it up. That's terrifying. Yeah, and you've noticed lately he's been whispering. He's saying, when he was asked about all the unemployment benefits to these, unemployed workers, he said, "I think that the employers in the country should pay their workers more, pay them more." I'm like, why are you whispering? No, it's terrifying. Yeah, it's yes, I did notice that. We're speaking with Stephen Moore, economist. You know what's even scarier is Kamala Harris getting her hands on the Oval Office. That is terrifying. She's evil. Her numbers, though. Have you seen her public approval numbers? I almost feel sorry for her. She is tanking. The American people just hate Kamala Harris. For one thing, she's supposed to be heading up the border. Well, great job, Kamala. I know. The illegal immigrant stream over the border. She hasn't even been to the border yet. I know she went down to El Paso to make an appearance. I was down at the border last weekend, literally up against the fence for a rally that we were doing down there. But she was about 800 miles away from us, nowhere near where the real problems were.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I stand corrected. You're right. She did go to El Paso, but finally, after 5 months or something in office, she finally goes to El Paso, which is not, a normal. It's not like some of these border towns that are, much more dangerous and there's a real crisis at the border, and of course, Biden is doing nothing about it. And I'm very pro-immigration, but come on, we got to get control of our borders for not just to keep out undesirables, but for a public safety and security issue. Anyway, Kamala is in the tank right now, and that's why sometimes I kind of pray for Joe Biden's health, because I can't imagine. Can you imagine if she were the president?
No, I can't. That's the scary thing. I mean, he's about half out of it, but she's flat out evil. And that's the scary thing. Don't you ever wonder, we're speaking with Stephen Moore, economist, of course, what's weird to me is what kind of deals were made behind the scenes, right? What did they get Kamala to agree to put her on the ticket? I'd love to know what went on in those rooms.
Well, I think, my own view is that, all the left really thinks about these days and cares about is identity politics, right? I mean, we as conservatives believe you judge people, not by whether they wear pants or a skirt or whether they have a black skin or brown skin or red skin or white skin. We judge them by, as Martin Luther King would say, by the content of their character. And I don't know, the left today, everything is about identity politics, whether you're gay, lesbian. By the way, there's a bill in Congress now to provide affirmative action in government loan programs for people who are LGBTQ. Is that crazy?
What? Don't you have to have good credit? I had to have good credit when I bought a house. That's weird.
I mean, I don't think people should be discriminated against, but we're going to have an affirmative action plan?
I've never seen that on it.
You mean if I go into the loan office and say I'm gay, then I get a step up in line? How are they going to verify that?
I've never seen any kind of a mortgage loan application that asks if you were gay or straight or anything like that. I agree with you. Nobody should be discriminated.
Heidi, it's coming. It's coming.
Hey, if I could save a couple percentage points, maybe I would just claim that I live with the woman, even if it's not true. We'll be a throuple. Like, what was her? Katie Hill? Was that the congresswoman? We'll be a throuple. Hey, if it'll save me some money on my mortgage, I'll go for it.
Yeah, I'm by if it saves me, $5,000.
Stephen Moore, great to talk to you. I followed you for years. Everyone knows who you are, and I appreciate your clarity on a lot of these
great
issues.
Great to be with you, and thanks for having me on. Have a great week ahead.
Absolutely. You too, my friend. Yeah. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to get a deal on my loan because okay. Next hour, we're going to talk a little bit about the situation in Miami, which is, as you can imagine, it's besides the tragedy of it, which is obvious. There's a lot of finger pointing, a lot of recriminations. I didn't know. Well, nobody told me. Well, yeah, I guess somebody did tell you. Isn't that always the way, guys? Whether it's a mass shooting or something else, somebody knew something and either didn't say something or somebody wasn't listening when there were warnings. So we'll talk a little bit about that coming up. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
When it comes to home renovations, when it comes to having people come into your house and change something, improve something, it can be a stressful process. I understand that. I've had it done myself, but unfortunately, I know really good people and I want to pass them along to you. Flooring, for example, check out Michael's Flooring Outlet. Right now, when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet, you're going to get a peace of mind. Your flooring and carpet installation is going to be done right the first time. When you hire the experts from Michael's Flooring Outlet, they give their clients attentive personal service, and they even will entertain your kids from time to time in the household or the pets or whatever that's going on. They know that life is being lived in that house, and they are very glad for the opportunity to come in and improve your home with the quality products that are available at Michael's Flooring Outlet. If you are looking for a flooring purchase in the near future for your residence or for your place of business, give Michael's Flooring Outlet a try.
Okay, I'm
in St. Charles County, West County, or Darden Prairie. You can go online right now to their website at igotfloored.com.
Hello, Marvin Mitchell here from Compass Retirement Solutions. Did you know that the average 3-year CD rate in the area was less than 1%? That's why we are excited to offer you several accounts that are short-term and pay better than bank rates. For example, we currently have a 3-year account paying 2.4% and a 5-year account paying 3.5% per year guaranteed. What a great place for your money. The money that you don't plan to use for the next 3 to 5 years. Now, terms and conditions do apply. So for more information, call 314-373-1598. Again, call 314-373-1598. This is Marvin Mitchell, and we would like to put your lazy money to work for you. Call 314-373-1598.
Guarantees are backed by the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Rates can change without notice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. Little Bites? That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute? I love Little Bites. I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay? Got it. As I was saying, whenever I bring home you know what, you know who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious. I love Little Bites. Here you go. Yes.
Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. The perfect portion of happiness.
Due to overwhelming demand, Diamonds Direct is extending our special finance offer through this Saturday, just in time for you to celebrate the 4th with some new bling. That's right, now through Saturday at 7 p.m., you can make any purchase at Diamonds Direct and spread your payments over 5 years without paying a dime in interest. It's easy, it's smart, it makes everything affordable. Diamonds Direct's best offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing now through Saturday. On approved credit, get store hours, directions, and details at diamondsdirect.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-777-1979. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-777-1979. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-777-1979. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-777-1979. 800-777-1979.
The latest local forecast and severe weather coverage you can count on from the name in St. Louis weather.
This is 97.1's Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
On 97.1 FM Talk. Powered by Air Comfort Service. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
Yesterday, we heard from a whistleblower within the U.S. government who reached out to warn us that the NSA, the National Security Agency, is monitoring our electronic communications and is planning to leak them in an attempt to take the show off the air. Now, that's a shocking claim, and ordinarily we'd be skeptical of it. It's illegal for the NSA to spy on American citizens. It's a crime. It's not a third world country. Things like that should not happen in America. But unfortunately, they do happen, and in this case, they did happen. The whistleblower, who is in a position to know, repeated back to us information about a story that we are working on that could have only come directly from my texts and emails. There's no other possible source for that information, period. The NSA captured that information without our knowledge and did it for political reasons. The Biden administration is spying on us. We have confirmed that.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says, less government, get off my back.
I'm the best there is at what I do. You're a lying, dog-faced pony soldier.
I wouldn't make it a habit calling me that, son.
And that's the bottom line.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey, having a great time today. Mark Cox joins us. Of course, you hear him every single morning, 5 to 9, right here on 97.1 FM Talk. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing great, Heidi. Great to talk to you. Thank you.
Nice talking to you, too. I'll tell you what, it's very concerning what's happening with Tucker Carlson. And who knows if they're following the rest of us around like that, right?
Well, you have to wonder about that. And, I'm thinking about the recent press release from Nancy Pelosi where she's trying to create a dust-up now and demanding an investigation because of rumors that they want to act like Donald Trump was spying on members of Congress when it was actually part of an investigation into leaks
of important information. I mean, there were a variety of leaks coming out of Congress. The Trump administration said we need to track this down and figure out where these leaks are coming from. Well, the last people that want to know the true answer to that would be Nancy Pelosi and the gang. So they're trying to make a big deal out of that. My guess is they won't care one iota that conservative talk show host Tucker Carlson's private text messages and phones might have been tapped into by our federal government. That's a shame.
Yeah, it's a real shame. They don't care at all about that. And it is frightening. I'm glad he was able to find it out. But like I said, how many of us have been affected by this kind of thing? And we just don't know. And he's not the first guy. There was a guy, was it James Rosen at Fox a few years ago, who basically had them all up in his business?
Well, he did. And Cheryl Atkinson, too, I believe. She discovered that somebody had basically tapped into her personal laptop when she was doing an investigation that the Obama administration didn't like. So this is, those allegations are there, and it should be concerning to every single one of us. One thing Tucker brought up in that story last night, I listened to his dialogue, was January 6th. And he reported a couple of weeks ago that based on some of the charges he was reading and the fact that some people were being dealt with differently in terms of what they were accused of, for the people who were actually inside the Capitol building on January 6th, he said, I think what we've got here is the fact that the FBI had informants embedded in these groups. Well, he confirmed that again last night. And he said, the point is, how much did the government know and when did they know it? I mean, I think there are a lot of questions here about what the NSA is getting away with and maybe what the FBI is getting away with. They want to act like what happened on January 6th was something that just happened out of the blue among a bunch of Trump supporters. They knew a lot more than they let on, and there's no way the Capitol Police should have been that ill prepared.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. We're speaking with Mark Cox, of course, morning show host around 97.1 FM Talk, 5 to 9 weekdays. Absolutely true. And I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of it. That's the frustrating thing with this administration. They obfuscate. We don't really know what they know. And I don't know that we'll ever find out. Let's talk about the Federation for American Immigration Reform. I was with them on the border in Arizona last Friday. I emceed an event down there with the Border Patrol officials and sheriffs from that area. And I know that you're going to the Hold Their Feet to the Fire event, which I've gone to every year. And it's always a lot of fun. Talk a little bit about that for those who've not been and not seen it and not participated.
Well, it's fantastic. I know they had to cancel it last year, but what the Federation for American Immigration Reform has done and what they've done every year for years, except in the pandemic, was try to force common sense legislation through Congress. And they haven't gotten it done, but neither has anyone else for that matter, because of the pushback on what needs to be done at the border. I mean, the president was able to do a lot of it, President Trump, through executive orders and deals he made with other countries, but they couldn't get any agreement in Congress whatsoever. The fair event that they're going to have at the end of September is great because they bring all of the movers and shakers who are interested in common sense solutions and restrictions on illegal immigration. These are all people that are proponents of immigration. They are opponents of illegal immigration, and that's the real problem in this country. And that's never been more important an issue than it's going to be in this 2022 election cycle next year. We have got to regain control of the House so we can try to address some of these problems before the Democrats manage to push something through on a purely partisan basis.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. We're speaking with Mark Cox, morning show host here on 97.1 FM Talk. When I was at this event the other day, and I know you know all these issues, but a lot of people may not realize it's not just about illegals coming across the border, which is bad enough. There are a lot of criminals coming across the border. It's not just people who want a better life. And by the way, you're not entitled to come here just because you want a better life. Criminals coming across the border, fentanyl coming across the border, people whose relatives have been killed by drunk drivers and murdered by gang members who are here illegally. I mean, this is far reaching and it affects every state.
Well, it sure does. And, Heidi, I heard that the Supreme Court handed down another decision today, which is pretty key because the six justices who were expected to vote with a more conservative viewpoint came out in favor of this particular ruling, and they're the reason it was a 6-3 vote. And this is important. People who came to this country and then got kicked out and then snuck back in again and got detained, their lawyers were trying to argue they shouldn't be detained indefinitely because if they went back, their lives would be at risk. And what the justices said was, well, that may be, but you're not, your claim here was denied, and you're not entitled to stay in the United States illegally just because you're afraid of what might happen in your home country. In other words, the United States is not responsible for the crap hole that you came from in that situation. We have we have asylum for people who have legitimate asylum claims. And we let 1 million people a year into this country legally. There's a process to go through. And we're the most accommodating country in the world when it comes to immigration. And I get sick of the fact that we get run down all the time for having too restrictive policies on immigration.
No question. We're speaking with Mark Cox, morning show host here on 97.1 FM Talk, mornings 5 to 9. One of the other things that we talked about at the fair thing on Friday down there at the border was the idea of these little kids. Nobody, all these people on the left who were screaming about Trump and the cages for the kids, nobody's talking about where these kids are going, Mark. I mean, tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of kids have been brought over the border, many times used as shills. They're not related to anybody who's dragged them across or catapulted them across the border. And we don't know where they are. We're hearing stories that they are sent to foster homes around the country. We don't know what's going to happen to them. What's going to happen to them when they grow up? Are they going to be victimized as children? Why is there no outcry? Why is there no investigation into this?
I have no idea, Heidi. It's a mystery. And if we ever regain control, unraveling it is going to be a nightmare. What they've done down at the border is an absolute nightmare. And there's a reason, of course, that our vice president didn't want to be seen where the problem is. She went to El Paso, which is, is closer to New Mexico than it is to Mexico. She probably didn't know the difference, right? And the reason what she didn't want was a photo op in front of one of the same detention facilities that she stood in front of and made such a fit. She and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went down there and accused Donald Trump of locking kids in cages. She didn't want to be anywhere near there because she knew those cages were built by Joe Biden and Barack Obama. And she's only focused on what's going to happen in 2024.
That's true. And if we were so worried about family reunification, we would not be dispersing these children all over the country to God knows where. Even if they legitimately had family members down there at the border, you're 4 and 5 years old. You don't know how to reach your family. You're going to disappear. Your parents are never going to know what happened to you.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine turning your young child loose to go on a journey with a complete stranger for 1,000 miles just to get them across the border? That must be a desperate situation, and shame on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for creating this situation, because we've learned from the folks in Guatemala, that's the coverage the Biden administration didn't want when she went down there, that the minute those two got elected back in November, the call went out. America's borders are open again. Send us your kids. The coyotes came in and started signing people up. They're the reason this is happening, and it is an absolute humanitarian disaster.
Right. This is on them, because we know that even though, listen, there's illegal immigration, no matter who the president is, we understand that. But the gravity of this situation and the hundreds and thousands of people who've come in as a result of believing that if they just get here, they're going to get free everything, free education, free healthcare, free this, free that. Biden is the one responsible for this. And the idea that you can come into this country, we just keep you here and put you up until what? Till we ultimately release you, instead of forcing these people. Remember when the first caravan came and Trump went down there and they stopped this thing at the border. And then the second one came and they weren't going to allow them to go across the border. And it quickly becomes apparent to these folks are not going to get through to America. And once they do, they turn around and go back.
Yeah, Heidi, I know you're familiar with this because of the part of the country where you work, but I know so many people who are legal residents now in this country, but who came here as immigrants, and they're sickened by what they're seeing here. They're angry about it, and they've come here they worked their butts off. They paid a lot of money to do this the right way. They came in legally. They've in many cases, friends of mine who've now achieved the American dream. One who immigrated here from Russia years ago. I know another one who came here, happened to be here when the Shah was deposed in Iran, and he thanks God every day that he happened to be in America when that happened, and became a citizen. And he's now retired after a good career. These are people who understand the value of America. And we've got people that are raised in our own country who want to turn their back on the flag even after they've made it onto the United States Olympic team. It just sickens me how people born here don't have the same appreciation and love of this country that people who fought and had to spend untold thousands of dollars to get here do.
Yeah, and if it weren't for that flag of our country, you probably wouldn't have a shot at being in the Olympics. Give me a break. I'm so tired of the ingratitude. I love these people who pull these stunts, these political stunts who are athletes. Ultimately, all it does is hurt their career. I mean, they might get some applause from some lefties for a while, but the chances of them getting endorsements, the chances of them ever getting on the desk, on the NFL desk, Kaepernick will never see the NFL desk as a result of his behavior. So the joke's on them.
Yeah, but the joke's on them until some woke corporation like Nike comes along and gives them a multi-million-dollar advertising payoff, right? Maybe that's what she's hoping for. That one of these woke companies, maybe Coca-Cola, will sign her up and put her face on a Coke bottle or something. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, anything that goes against what America stands for is championed in the press. I mean, anything that makes people happy. The other day, I know you saw the story about the Raider who came out as a gay guy. Who cares? Right. Can you throw a ball? Can you catch a ball? Can you block? Can you tackle? I mean, in Las Vegas, they are slobbering all over this guy, this Raiders player, because he came out as gay. He's so brave. He's this and that. Now, we're speaking with Mark Cox, of course, a morning host here on 97.1. You know what they did to Tim Tebow? You know that. He wasn't getting 4 women pregnant. He wasn't sleeping around. He wasn't doing anything wrong. And they trashed Tim Tebow, but they applaud this guy just for being brave, where Tim Tebow was never called brave by anybody.
No, he wasn't. And, they also, the same people that were so happy when he came out, then hated him as soon as they found out that he's apparently a Trump fan and a pretty big conservative. So that drove them all crazy. Like the Twitterverse melted down when they realized that they'd all thrown their support behind this guy. And then they found out he was a fan of Donald Trump and had voted for him. And it just completely blew their illusion.
Yeah, you've got to fit into a certain box and you've got to check all these boxes. And if you don't, we don't want anything to do with you.
Exactly. That's how it works. It's just sad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. In the NFL, I know you saw the NFL put out this new ad, and we can't play the audio because it's not really an audio.
Because there isn't any.
The NFL's gay, the NFL's lesbian, the NFL's this. I don't hate gay people, just so people know. I don't care about that. But when I watch football, I don't want to hear about anybody's sex life. Anyone's gay, straight, throw the ball, catch the ball, tackle. That's all I want to see. And I started to watch football again at the end of the year last year during the playoffs because I love the game. But now I'm out again. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah, here in St. Louis, we've become pretty embittered with the NFL the last couple of years because, we suffered through the Rams. They had a couple of good years when they were here, and then they went to hell in a handbasket. And a lot of us were pretty much done with the NFL anyway. But the wokeness now of Roger Goodell and all these folks have decided that that's where their bread is buttered. I'm just not sure that the groups that they're catering to now suddenly are the ones that are paying for those seats in the NFL stadiums. They're not putting butts in the seats. Those are not the people paying the tickets for these stadiums. And I fail to understand why Roger Goodell thinks that's a good idea, but he does.
Right, because nobody ever said gay people can't go to a football game. Who knows what the population of people who are gay, who like football is? We don't know. But the bottom line is people watch sports not to have their head bashed in with politics. That's supposed to be something where it's an escape from all the craziness.
All of them, Heidi, all of these sports that have tried this have seen their ratings go down and their revenue drop. The NBA is probably at the top of that list right now but they don't seem to care. They must be making enough money that they don't need us. So it'll be pretty interesting when they come back begging for our money one of these days.
Yeah, it will be. And I'll tell you what, I'm out. It's going to save me a lot of time this fall when it finally gets nice.
That's true.
And you know, you don't want to stay indoors and watch a game. I'm not going to do it. And I love the game. I'm going to miss Howie Long, but we'll just have to break up.
That's funny. I'm with you though.
I got to tell you a funny story. We're speaking with Mark Cox, of course, mornings here on 97.1, 5 to 9. My husband knows I have a thing for Howie Long, like a lot of women. And my husband was at an event a few years back on the East Coast, and Howie Long was the speaker. Now, you got to know my husband. He's a very mild-mannered, normal, quiet guy. He's not the guy to put his hand up at any kind of dinner or anything like that. Very quiet. So he texts me, says, Howie Long speaking. I said, oh, I'm dying. I'm missing it. So then my husband gets up when Howie Long takes questions after his speech. My husband stands up, the most mild-mannered guy in the world, and he says, Mr. Long, my wife says she paid money to watch you read the paper.
Did you have to donate cash at that point or what?
Right. And he said the entire room just burst into just applause and laughter. And then Howie went, well, that's awkward.
I can see him getting a little embarrassed by something like that.
Yeah, but coming from my husband, it was hilarious because he knows. But I'll have to live without Howie this year, but I'm just done with it. And I wonder, Howie Long and some of these other people, you wonder they've got to be dying, not because they necessarily have a political opinion one way or the other, but because they don't want to divide the audience. If they're smart, we don't know what they think about politics.
Well, they don't, but I mean, that's the problem. You get somebody like Charles Barkley who brings the truth, and nobody wants to hear it. He's not. I mean, they keep him around because he's Charles Barkley. But I think I read the other day where he's leaving some of this coverage because he's so sick and tired of taking a little bit of heat when he speaks the truth. That's not what the woke culture is about. They don't want you to hear the truth. They want you to preach the narrative, whatever it happens to be. And if you won't toe the line, they're done with you. We'll see fewer and fewer people like for example, there's a whole bunch of them right now, and there aren't going to be in the future who are going to be willing to tell the truth out of fear of losing their career.
No, that's true. And also, you're not allowed to even be neutral. You're not allowed to stay silent and not have an opinion. You have to have the opinion that they expect you to have, the woke mob expects. Otherwise, they silence you and cancel you.
Well, the left is the most tolerant group in America until you disagree with them. And then they're going to shut you down. It's pathetic.
It is true. Mark Cox, great talking to you. Of course, weekdays 5 to 9 right here on 97.1 FM Talk. You can follow him at Mark Cox 971 on Twitter, Mark Cox 971 on Twitter. Thank you, my friend. Great talking to you.
Heidi, my pleasure. Thank you.
We'll talk again. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
All right, more story time with BeckElderLaw.com, 636-946-7899. If you are looking help with estate planning, long-term care planning needs, elder law concerns, here's a story about John who came in last year for help getting that VA aid and attendance benefit. He had been an active duty Marine during his military service. A huge thank you to John for your service. Was suffering from a number of chronic health conditions, including Parkinson's. Was hoping to get the full amount, which at the time was $1,911 per month. When John met with Jay Lennox, they wanted to make sure that they got their estate planning documents done. Jay referred John to the VA specialist, who is Teresa. Teresa's up to date on changes to eligibility requirements as well as outcome of court cases involving veterans seeking benefits. A casual comment by John led Teresa to do some research, and it turns out he was exposed to contaminated water in one of the bases where he was stationed. Here's the end result that Beck Elder Law was able to achieve. John ended up receiving $8,000 per month, plus retroactive paid benefits of over $40,000. Plus, the family was able to buy a handicapped vehicle to transport him. This is the kind of service you get at Rudy Beck, Jay Lennox, and Carolyn Dyker's Beck Elder Law. Go call them at 636-946-7899 or book a call online at BeckElderLaw.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for CertaPro Painters, professional painting. My favorite thing about CertaPro, you do not have to do the painting. I was hooked several years ago because I did get a free estimate, just like I'm encouraging you to do at CertaPro.com. They came over. It was a kitchen job, that first job inside a house that I used to own in South City. They did the project so efficiently, so effectively. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro.com to get your free estimate today. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com. CertaPro Painters, proven and trusted experts in painting. Check them out today, CertaPro.com.
Take a moment and rate your lifestyle on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is a life that's nothing like the life you were promised after getting good grades, a college degree, and a good job in corporate America. 10 is the life of your dreams. If you answered anything less than a 10, tune into the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del, self-made millionaire and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, will show you how to live the life of your dreams and pay for it with passive income.
Tune in to the Del Walmsley Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. Weeknights at 7 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Big news. She said yes. My girlfriend loved the ring so much, she started to cry. I gotta hand it to Shane Company. They made it easy for me to create the perfect engagement ring. I knew my girlfriend wanted a halo ring, so when I met with a jewelry consultant, we started with that and my budget. He showed me ring settings in my price range. I felt no pressure to buy. For the Cinderstone, we looked at diamonds first. Then he showed me their beautiful sapphires, an option I hadn't even considered. And what a selection. They had over a dozen colors to choose from. He said that Tom Shane hand selects their sapphires in Bangkok. I ended up choosing a blue sapphire. I hadn't planned on that, but once I saw how the diamond halo framed the sapphire, I knew it was perfect for her. She's really one of a kind. And well, that's what I love about her. And we're still getting lots of compliments on the ring.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business, Shane Company. Open weekdays till 8, Saturday and Sunday till 5, and online at shaneco.com.
Hi, this is Will Witt, and I want to invite you to join me at the 4 Points by Sheridan in Fairview Heights, Illinois on July 13th for Vitae Foundation Pro-Life event. I work hard each day to inspire Americans to stand up for their beliefs, and I'm here to tell you, abortion is something we cannot remain silent about. Join me at Vitae Foundation's Pro-Life event on July 13th in Fairview Heights. Register at adsforlife.org.
Come on down to Edwards Carpet Stores.
Edwards Carpet, serving St. Louis for 82 years. Hurry into any of our 4 locations and save big. Sale ends at 5 o'clock July 4th. Happy Independence Day and God bless America.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Get in your comfort zone this summer with 0% financing for 72 months and utility rebates on qualifying new HVAC systems. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
The candidate for the ATF, the guy coming directly from basically a gun banning organization. Todd Pyro.
This is like putting a vegan in charge of the National Beef Council.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
Well, the president did mention that the American Rescue Plan, the state and local funding, something that was supported by the president, a lot of Democrats who supported and voted for the bill, could help ensure local cops were kept on the beat in communities across the country. As you know, didn't receive a single Republican vote. That funding has been used to keep cops on the beat.
Oh, sure. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. Carl and Ryan are here hanging out, having a great day. Glad you are here. Couple of fun food-related stories, guys. I don't know about you, but I am the queen of the drive-thru. You guys would probably have to be the kings of the drive-thru if you were into that. Are you guys fast food kind of people?
Oh, my gosh. Yes, until my blood pressure started going up just recently, and now I got to rethink my entire life.
And you're not allowed to get rid of your kids, so I guess you have to change your diet. Is that how it goes?
I guess. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't gone back in for the checkup yet, so we'll see.
I know, right? There's a lot of sodium in that stuff. That's all I'm saying. A jury, this is a crazy story out of Florissant, and somebody who worked at Steak and Shake put a social media post up saying she found worms in a hamburger at the Steak and Shake, and a federal jury awarded $80,000 in damages to Steak and Shake because apparently the whole thing was fake. They had a 3-day trial on this. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, this was a couple days ago. I think Fox 2 reported on this too, and so did Post-Dispatch. 36,000 times this post was shared, so I could see how Steak and Shake would be a little bit upset about it. Apparently, it wasn't. It looked like worms, but it was just the grease. When she pressed down on the burger, it was just the grease coming up. And she thought, well, I don't know if she deliberately. I'm assuming she knew.
They taste good though. Those little things
grease
of grease.
pockets?
Oh, they taste great.
Yeah. They weren't worms. You're right. She squished down on the burger and it looked like worms, and she put this online. A district manager investigated, found no evidence of worms in the patties that he inspected. And this whole thing, that's the problem with social media. As you mentioned, it was shared 36,000 times. That's the kind of thing that can be devastating to a restaurant.
Oh, absolutely. Especially Steak and Shake. If you drive around this area, I know you're not from this area, Heidi. There are signs like billboards up all over the place that say, hey, you want to own a Steak and Shake? Mm-hmm. You can. Like we're selling. Please join our team. So this is not apparently good timing for Steak and Shake either.
No, not at all. And apparently she was fired, and they said she was trying to do the right thing from her standpoint. That's what they said, her attorney, trying to protect the public. Okay, there's a way to go about it, not necessarily putting it on social media. Not that I haven't put things on social media, especially customer service issues.
You know what? What if it was? What if it was, let's say it's not Steak and Shake. It's any fast food place. If you do find something and you work there, are you allowed to post that on social media, or can they still sue you even if it's true? You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's not find out.
I want to know, though.
Well, that's the problem, right? There are all kinds of things that people have put on social media. I was looking at something today. I don't even remember what the topic was. And I was looking up something online, and there was a guy who was wiping the toilet with the same towel that he wiped the glasses off in a hotel room. Okay.
Why'd you tell us that?
I'm sorry. And I've heard stories about toothbrushes that you leave around your room being used in weird places by
that's
people.
That's an urban myth.
I've heard that too, though. I do think that's an urban legend. I hope it is.
I don't know, but you know what? I always treat the people very, very nice. I would anyway, but yeah, that's pretty scary. In other food news, apparently Subway has a tuna sandwich, which I've never had. I don't mind tuna, but I have to make it myself. Apparently there was a DNA test done, and no tuna DNA could be detected in this lab test that they did.
So that went viral, and Inside Edition did their own test of 3 different tuna subs from 3 different stores.
Right.
Found tuna.
They did find tuna. How much tuna? Was it 100% or what's the percentage?
The thing, we talked about this on the Mark Reardon show yesterday. The thing we were most concerned about was the calorie and fat count in the 6-inch tuna sub.
Okay, what was it?
660 calories, and I think it was like 40 grams of fat. And you think you're eating healthy.
Sandwich?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, it depends on how much mayonnaise you put on it. I think that's what it all comes down to.
That's the majority of what's in the Subway tuna sub.
Is the mayonnaise?
Yeah.
I hate mayonnaise. That's one thing I cannot stand to eat.
It's eggs, right?
So is the verdict that it wasn't true, the original one wasn't true, or just that Inside Editions prove that sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't?
I guess it depends on which one you go to.
They're saying it's 100% real wild caught tuna. That's what they say. I have no idea. They're actually offering a promo code about this too that they did when there was a controversy about it, saying that the promo code was "It's real." They put that on social media.
Hey, we talked about this yesterday. I don't remember exactly what led us into it, but this would be the best time to buy a Subway tuna sandwich, because they're going to be the best they'll ever be right now.
Oh, we were talking about high rises and airplane crashes.
Oh, that's how we got into that.
Somehow that kind of. But what's interesting too is there are a lot of times you'll get something to have fake crab. Have you ever had fake crab?
Yeah, yes. I don't mind it.
It's not bad.
What is it though? Is it cod? What is fake crab?
Good question. I've looked at the label before because I've been curious, and it must have not stood out enough for me to remember, because it was like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of crab. I don't like crab legs or anything, but I love a good crab cake.
Yeah.
It's surimi or pollock.
Oh, it's pollock okay. So that's a fish. It's like a white fish, right?
Yeah.
And they call it crab. Well, where's the outcry about that?
I think doesn't it say imitation crab on the package though?
Yes.
Okay, that's just gross.
Or
I'm
crab
sorry.
with a K, like Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob.
I'll tell you what though, I would rather have imitation crab, because crab legs are so much work,
difficult
for how much you get to eat. Yes, they're good.
The payoff's not.
Yeah, the payoff's not enough.
Yeah, well, look at lobster. I mean, lobster. What is it? Good. It's basically an ocean cockroach.
It's an ocean bug.
It is an ocean bug. I mean, there was a time, maybe 100 years ago or so in history, when only poor people ate lobster. I mean, that was all they could afford sometimes. But now it's completely changed.
Marketing.
That's exactly. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? It's all about marketing. I mean, think of something like morning breath. 30, 40 years ago, people never thought about, I wake up with morning breath. But all of a sudden, somebody comes up with that phrase, and all of a sudden, we're all paranoid about it forever.
Yeah, body odor is the same way. I think they invented the term body odor in the 50s so that they could sell deodorant, and it became a social stigma. You couldn't have body odor.
So you're saying back in the day, can you imagine in colonial times when they're all wearing all those clothes, all those wigs, trying to write the Declaration of Independence in a building with the windows sealed shut and no air conditioning? Could you even imagine everybody smelled?
Yeah, but you didn't have allergy medicine either, so you probably couldn't smell anything.
It's all changed, that's for sure. I'm Heidi Harris. This is the Annie Frey Show. Much more to come next hour.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. This is the Annie Frey Show.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
Tired of waking up hot and uncomfortable? Start sleeping cool on the Tempur-Breeze by Tempur-Pedic. It's engineered with a revolutionary cooling system that pulls excess heat away from your body to help you sleep deeper all night and wake up more refreshed every morning. During the Tempur-Pedic Summer of Sleep, save $500 on all Tempur-Breeze mattresses and experience your coolest sleep this summer with our best breeze savings of the year. Learn more at TempurPedic.com.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
And if you need new IT service and you're a small business owner, or you just need better IT service, why wouldn't you check out ThrottleNet? They won Best in Customer Service from Small Business Monthly this past January, Best in Cybersecurity in Small Business Monthly in February. Ransomware has been huge, unfortunately, on the rise through the pandemic, and ThrottleNet has saved clients $2.6 million in ransom. So they protect against ransomware by providing a tool set that provides cybersecurity training for employees, identifying and quarantining an infected machine from the network, and the equipment will recover in less than 24 hours. Take advantage of a great offer. The first 30 days with ThrottleNet are free. There's no onboarding fees if you leave in the first 30 days. ThrottleNet will pay you $1,000 for your trouble. And after the first 30 days, no contracts, they're month to month. Check out ThrottleNet online. Use the 97.1 connection. ThrottleNet.com/971. ThrottleNet.com/971. Get started today.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you have heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station as the financial expert for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend on 97.1 FM Talk. And in case you miss any of those shows, on his podcasts on Odyssey.com and search Safe Money 97.1. So call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather.
Continuing the search, I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. 11 people are confirmed dead and 150 remain unaccounted for in the partial collapse of a Surfside, Florida condo building. Officials say there's no end in sight to the nonstop effort to find possible survivors.
The men and women that are working right now, the task forces that are on the ground, 370. That's the largest deployment in the history of the state of Florida that's not a hurricane.
Florida Chief Financial Officer and State Fire Marshal Jimmy Patronis. The White House today announcing that President Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden will travel to Surfside on Thursday to visit the site of the collapse. Today, the president is promoting his infrastructure plan in Wisconsin. While the proposal was reached through a bipartisan effort, it still needs more congressional support. House Democrats are still planning on linking passage of that infrastructure proposal to a larger spending plan.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi reiterated to Democrats her plan to vote on a bipartisan infrastructure agreement after the Senate first passes a budget reconciliation package that could total $6 trillion.
What the Speaker has said, with which I totally agree with her, is that we're not going to vote on one until the Senate sends us both.
House Budget Committee Chairman John Yarmuth says he has not heard concerns about that strategy from fellow Democrats. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell has urged Democrats to delink the infrastructure bill from a larger spending proposal that he calls purely partisan.
Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol Hill. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem announcing today that she will join a growing list of Republican governors sending law enforcement officers to the U.S. border with Mexico. Noem's announcement that she will send up to 50 South Dakota National Guard troops to Texas comes as the GOP ramps up a political fight with President Biden over border security. America's listening to Fox News.
These are tough times, but it's even worse if you're stuck paying endless fees for a timeshare you were misled into buying.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, and now, more than ever, taking care of our physical and financial health has never been more important. If you were told that timeshare was a great investment or your maintenance fees will never go up, you need my help. In 2020, a lot of things have changed. One thing hasn't: our commitment to helping good folks just like you cancel your timeshare permanently. We've helped over 13,000 families completely eliminate their timeshare debt, saving them an average of $65,000 in lifetime timeshare payments. So call my office today. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley Financial Group now for your free information kit. 800-940-3322. 800-940-3322. 800-940-3322.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
We stay in the soup this afternoon. Very, very humid with a mix of clouds and sunshine and scattered showers and some strong thunderstorms in the 80s to near 90 degrees. Tonight, scattered showers and thunderstorms fade during the evening, otherwise partly cloudy 70. Keep the pattern going Wednesday and again Thursday with scattered showers and thunderstorms 80 to 85 each day. Break it for the holiday weekend. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
What's holding you back from solving your tax problems? If it's cost, know that the longer you wait, the more expensive it'll be. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Tax resolution doesn't have to be expensive, and waiting year after year to resolve your tax problems can be extremely costly. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. So take the first step now and hire a tax resolution attorney to help you. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. But the longer you wait, the more interest and penalties you'll pay. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Drafty old windows make your home uncomfortable and really drive up energy bills. The solution? Modern, gorgeous Infinity by Marvin fiberglass windows installed by Lakeside, the exclusive Infinity Windows dealer in St. Louis. Custom fit, energy efficient Infinity by Marvin windows are 8 times stronger than vinyl. They block the cold and keep your home cozy and bright. Request a free windows consultation from Lakeside Renovation and Design at 636-978-5000. That's 636-978-5000. You'll love your home all over again. If you're tired of dealing with a wet basement or crawl space and worrying about the damage it's doing to your home, call B-Dry, your waterproofing experts for over 60 years. B-Dry's proven and patented methods completely combat the most common ways water enters your basement, and B-Dry offers a limited time warranty. Call B-Dry now for a free estimate and save $500 off your waterproofing system. Call 1-800-966-2379 or BDrySolutions.com. That's BDrySolutions.com.
With the value of the U.S. dollar continuing
continuing to slump due to unprecedented money printing, it has never been more important to protect your savings and retirement accounts from inflation. Many hardworking Americans, just like you and I, are turning to a proven method to protect what we work so hard to earn, real gold. You can have real gold delivered privately and securely to your home, or have real gold put into your IRA or 401k. Just call Oxford Gold Group right now, 833-928-GOLD. The Oxford Gold Group will teach you everything you want to know about owning real gold. It's a lot easier than you think. Call the Oxford Gold Group now at 833-928-GOLD to get your free precious metals investment guide. Talk to them about getting real gold and silver delivered to your home, or about having real gold placed in your IRA or 401k. The Oxford Gold Group is here to help you protect your savings and retirement from the unknown. Call them now, 833-928-GOLD. So what are you waiting for? 833-928-GOLD. Get your gold you can hold from the Oxford Gold Group, 833-928-GOLD.
Break out the barbecue and fireworks and celebrate America's birthday with all new exclusive stations only on Odyssey. We've done all the work to select the tunes that will really get your July 4th cooking. Check out Barbecue Alt, playing fun alternative party tunes that take you back to the best summers ever. Freedom Rock, saluting our freedom with the best rock songs. Or Red, White, and You, cranking your favorite patriotic country songs. The new Odyssey exclusive stations are your 4th of July soundtrack. By Odyssey. Get your party started on the Odyssey app today.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app to listen to 97.1 FM Talk and find content that moves you. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk on the go. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, I'm really happy to have President Middleman here, and I don't want it's not technically appropriate, but I'm so delighted. His daughter is here. She's in the back right there. And I got to meet her and talk about our kids and grandkids and all the like. At any rate, I just want to thank the President for being here and for your dedication to strengthening the relationship between the United States and Israel. Thank you.
Joe Biden can't get out of his own way. And now, did you guys see this? And he's going down. By the way, I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. Did you see that Joe Biden's headed down to Florida? Down. You know what's going to happen when Joe Biden goes down there, right? Yeah, he's going down to Miami.
Oh.
Okay, so what's going to happen? You guys have seen presidential events. Everybody's going to have to stop everything. So the Secret Service can sweep everything. I mean, this is ridiculous. If you care about what's going on down in Miami, you want to see these people find their loved ones or get some kind of answers. I'm sure we probably at this point, it would be a miracle to find anyone alive, but we're hoping for that. So the president's going to go down there and he's going to basically just be a hindrance. He's going to walk out. He's going to give a speech that he's going to mumble and bumble and stumble through and stop all of the progress for a couple hours while they clean up a podium for him or something. I mean, it's insane that he would do that. To me, it's very selfish.
That's not just on the right. I mean, anybody in America right now, probably the world, when they watch him speak, nobody's wondering what he's going to say and what kind of inspiring words he's going to say. Exactly. They're waiting for the worst soundbite possible because they know that you're going to see more troughs than peaks in each speech.
The poor guy, he can't get it out. He just can't get the words out. And I'm not making fun of somebody who's clearly got some kind of mental, I'm not diagnosing him. All right. He's got something going on. But, this is the leader of the free world. That's when it becomes my business. I'm not walking around picking up about, and we all do this. We walk into the other room. We go, what I come in here for?
Yeah.
We've all had days like that, right?
Right.
All had days like that. But this guy is frightening Because when he went over to Europe and he did his little, trounce around, and everybody was looking at him like, oh my God, they were laughing at it because they know the guy can't even complete a sentence half the time.
Yeah, it's embarrassing to watch his staff lead him as he's walking past the press, whether it's to a plane or wherever. You can see them like putting their hand on the back of his, his lower back to sort of lead him, like, keep walking, sir. We don't want you saying anything. And everybody knows it. It's not, we're just the only ones willing to talk about it on
My
the right.
staff's going to be mad if I talk to you.
Yeah, all the time.
Exactly. This guy. Whereas, you can say what you want about Trump. I happen to have voted for him. I supported him. But, Trump would stand out for that helicopter, take questions from a hostile press, stand in the press room, take questions from a hostile press every single day. Gave a speech in Ohio. He's not using a prompter. He just knows how to do it. You can say what you want about Trump, but the man is mentally clear. That's for sure. And Biden's just flat out scary, but it's just ridiculous for him to go down there. My concern, though, is going to be that the people on the left are going to try to find a way to turn this Miami situation against Ron DeSantis. They're going to do that.
Yeah, and I think also I'm watching to see if they turn this into a reason to support infrastructure. Not that the two things are actually linked, but that people can see building fell down. People will also go, oh, need infrastructure, even though they aren't linked. I'm seeing maybe the beginnings of that, but I haven't seen them hard link them yet.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. I was thinking about this morning. How many people are going to be sued for this tower collapse in Miami?
There's already a lawsuit.
Right. It doesn't mean they're all guilty, by the way. They've all, be found negligent. But I remember years ago, there was a sign that they put up outside the Las Vegas Hilton in Las Vegas, and they had spent, I don't know, I just be guessing, tens of millions of dollars on this huge, fancy, schmancy new sign out on the edge, right on the Paradise Road, if you know Las Vegas. And I don't think this sign was up a month. I'm not exaggerating. And the winds came up out of nowhere, and they cracked this sign, cracked in half. And this doesn't happen in Vegas. These signs don't break like this. It was the craziest thing ever. And it was a hugely expensive sign. Luckily, it was way out in the edge of the parking lot, so nobody was hurt other than a lot of lawyers. But I remember I was working for the state bar at the time. And when they had these major lawsuits, the paperwork would come through the state bar. Everybody and their mother, everybody but you guys, and I'm not sure about you guys, was on this lawsuit. It was amazing. Now, of course, they throw that up there to see if it'll stick. They blame this one, that one, the other one, the guy who, twisted the light bulbs in, this one, that, whoever, right? And that is going to happen with the Miami situation. They're going to sue the developer. They're going to sue the builder. They're going to sue the subcontractors. I mean, they're going to just sue everybody and their mother, because there are a lot of wealthy people who live in this building, many of whom didn't make it out, but obviously their family members, their estates. It's going to be a disaster for a very long time.
And in this case, there probably should be lawsuits that should go through. I just don't know who you're suing yet, but like you said, it'll stick to somebody, and somebody's going to lose a whole lot of money. And
unless they're insured,
and or this is a business and they'll just declare bankruptcy and not pay anybody. But but this is a terrible time to be asking this question. But do you think that because of this huge loss of life, so obviously, our heart goes out, but is the left going to use this to enact more regulations on buildings? You were kind of talking about this yesterday, Heidi, how they're trying to sort of take away private land ownership a little bit. They're moving in that direction. Like, could this be a catalyst for some of that?
It could be. I mean, who was it who said Rahm Emanuel never let a crisis go to waste? We know that's always a possibility. It just breaks my heart because there were people who knew. There were people who warned. There was a guy taking pictures just this last week, taking pictures and seeing standing water down in the bottom. And they say the pool wasn't designed correctly to begin with, and those kinds of things. I don't know. We're all doing the Monday morning quarterback thing here. But as we talked to the structural professor earlier in the show, which was great, Dr. Myers, and he had some great information about that. And the point that he made that was so important was the whole idea that it's most of the time when something like this happens, it's more than one element.
Yeah.
More than one thing has failed. Maybe it was the pool. Maybe it was the water that then, hurt the parking garage, this, that, the rebar, the cement, the penthouse on top that was heavy and all of that. And I know nothing about engineering. I'm so in awe of people who do understand how that kind of thing works. But, it just makes you wonder, if I'm in Miami, I'm having them look at my building too. Because something that you and I might look at and say, oh, it's crumbled a little, we might not necessarily notice because we just look at it. We go, all right, maybe somebody should paint that. And we don't think about the fact that that is evidence of possibly the rebar rotting from the inside. And that's a huge issue. How many buildings in Miami are like that? In any place, especially where there's a lot of water, we don't know the answer.
And if you missed our interview with Missouri S&T professor John Myers, you can go on the Odyssey app and rewind it. It was only an hour and a half ago. But it was fascinating. So go and you can rewind live radio, pause this right here, or you can listen to what we have to say and then go back. But you can go to the Odyssey app, rewind, hear that amazing interview. And we're all going to be looking for stuff now. When you're in a high rise, you're going to say, this doesn't look good. But
and here's another question that I was thinking about when it comes to this high rise. Let's say you lived in this high rise. And you had attended one of these meetings over the last couple of years, right? And they said, oh, there's a problem. We need to spend $5 million, $10 million. And then you decided to just quietly sell your condo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you didn't want the assessment or you didn't want the liability or you were concerned that it was going to collapse. I mean, we realize this doesn't happen in America. Maybe they thought, oh, they're just, they're making this up. They're just crying wolf. This isn't going to happen. This doesn't happen in America. But what if you did just sell maybe you understood the gravity of the situation and you decided to sell it. Could somebody come back on you and say you didn't disclose? That's a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know. Yeah, because I bought a couple of houses over the course of my life. And I'll tell you what, a good inspector will save you a fortune. We didn't buy a house a couple of years back because the inspector said, there's this, there's that. And we said, okay, we can fix it. But we wanted, a deal. We wanted them to give us some, money in the closing and this and that. And they didn't want to do it. So we just moved on. But the inspector said, okay, fine, you can buy this house. You can fix this, but it's going to cost you 10 grand to do this, 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 and this, and this. So a good inspector is worth his or her weight in gold when it comes to those kinds of things. And it just never occurred to me until this happened, how important it can be to have an inspector even go down in the basement, check, is there water? Is there this spalling that we talked about earlier with the professor? That is the evidence of the rebar, I guess, rotting and the concrete kind of working, kind of flaking off and that kind of stuff. Is that something inspectors normally check when you're going to buy a high rise? I don't know the answer to that, but I'd certainly have it done now.
The problem is they knew that there were problems. This inspector we mentioned, went in 2 days before this happened and took pictures, and I'm sure those are going to be evidence of something in somebody's lawsuit. But they knew something was wrong. It was probably just so expensive that they kept delaying it.
Yep.
And whoever is making those calls, they got hell to pay.
Yeah, because nobody likes assessments. Anybody who's lived in an HOA doesn't like having to be assessed, $1,000, $500. Oh, we got to pay. We got to do this. We got to do that. Whatever it might be. But in this case, they were looking at close to $15 billion potentially in repairs to the building. And you break that down to 136 units. That's what, 100,000 a piece, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm not a math major. That's why I do radio. But that's a lot of money. And if you're not somebody who's wealthy, and I'm sure, listen, those condos were all fancy, but many people probably bought them many years ago. Maybe they didn't have 100 grand in cash to be assessed or to have to make payments on or those kinds of things. Automatically, that makes the price of your condo more expensive if you're trying to sell it to the next person. So, there were a lot of forces at work here for sure.
Yeah, or their timeshares, people are buying just a couple weeks of them. And so how much, are you going to pay, 3 times the amount of the week that you bought just because
dues.
somebody, that stuff. Everybody's, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. Cause this will determine a lot going forward about, who's in charge of these things.
Yeah, I heard about one couple who flew in, I believe, from Ecuador or something just to get their vaccines. That's one couple who are apparently
oh my gosh,
missing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a problem. There was one couple, they were there one night. That was it. One night they were staying there for some kind of thing. Can you even imagine? And they're missing. Oh,
unbelievable.
I wanted to give a tip of the hat to the Billy Graham Association, the Evangelistic Association. They're amazing. The Billy Graham Rapid Response Team is down there in Miami. They don't get anywhere near the press that they deserve. They're ministering along with other Christian groups to the families of the 150 people missing, as we know. But God bless these folks for going down there. They always do. Every time, there's a hurricane or any kind of major disaster, Samaritan's Purse, and all these people are down there immediately trying to provide whatever they can for people. But it's nice that people are They call it the BGRRT, the Billy Graham Rapid Response Team. They go to the area to offer emotional and spiritual care to first responders in the heartbroken community. I also read today, I don't know if you guys saw this, Ivanka Trump, apparently, who's not there, but apparently she and her husband live a couple blocks away part of the time in Surfside, donated a bunch of money for first responders, but didn't make it public. Somebody found out about it.
Good.
But they just quietly. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad that they didn't make it public, and I'm glad that somebody did.
Somebody found out and put it out there.
Yeah, that's great. Although, you know, she never gets credit for anything as far as people are concerned. But it's nice of her to do that and try to help these folks. And, you know, everybody in that community's got to be worried sick about the state of their building right now and looking for assurances as to what. And here's the thing, too. If you suddenly, you know, throw your hat in the ring and you become an inspector, you know, you've got to make sure that the inspector you get is telling you the right information, because these people can be, I'm not saying necessarily bought off, although that can happen, but you certainly have people who can be compromised or tell you what you want to hear. Right.
Yeah,
and that's a concern.
If people just become friends, you know, if you own multi-million dollars, maybe $1 billion worth of real estate, you're going to have probably a pretty good relationship with the codes.
You're going to have a guy.
Yeah.
I don't want Tom to come to my thing. I need Steve to come to my thing.
Exactly.
Right. Isn't that true? I need a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who will tell me whatever I want and sign off on this. And that's one of the things that's been discussed with this 40-year-old building, was the fact that at the time that it was designed, there's an allegation that there was a penthouse put up on top that wasn't part of the original plan. Don't know how much that factored in. I don't know anything about structural engineering, so I'm not claiming to. But we just don't know. These are all factors that will be considered. And as you mentioned, tell people once again, Carl, where they can find that interview with the structural engineer professor.
You can go to the 97.1 Facebook page. You can go to the Annie Frey Facebook page. You can go to the website, or just get the Odyssey app, AUDACY, and you can rewind right now and go back in time. You can rewind live radio.
Hey, just because we're talking about it too, Odyssey also just launched a bunch of like non-on-air music stations,
like patriotic channels.
Like you can listen to any sort of niche genre of music you want to now on Odyssey.com too.
And you're going to host something this weekend.
Oh yeah, you heard about that. So yeah, a little promo for that on Sunday night during fireworks, 8 to 10. We're going to be playing some sort of just traditional American patriotic music, kind of some rock, some party music, and
4th of July.
You know, like Star Spangled Banner, God Bless the USA, stuff like that too, for the whole time you're doing fireworks.
Nice.
Hosted
That's
by
really
Ryan Wiggins.
nice.
Hosted by and selected by myself too.
That is fantastic. Well, it's going to be a rough week for my dogs because everybody's buying the fireworks now. And they're going to start. You know,
Put those
they can't
coats
wait
on
till
them.
July 4th. What was that?
Have you heard about the coats?
I have heard about the coats. You know what we do? We turn up the TV very loud. We give them Benadryl and just try to stay with them. You know, that actually works pretty well to take a little bit of the edge off. But, you know, last year, a neighbor of mine had half his house burned because some blankety blank shot off a bottle rocket. He was out of his house for 6 months because of COVID. And so I'm sure he's going to be staying close to home this year. So we stay close because I've got a neighbor who shoots things off like it's 1776. And the problem is I can't call the cops because he's a firefighter. So he ain't getting in trouble. That's wrong.
Speaking of knowing people.
Speaking of knowing people, we're going to speak with Zach Smith from Heritage coming up next. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Nice segue, Carl.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. In addition to heating and cooling, Air Comfort Service also offers indoor air quality water heater and AeroSeal duct seal services. Get in your comfort zone with aircomfortservice.com.
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins.
Little Bites?
That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute?
I love Little Bites.
I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay?
Got it.
As I was saying, whenever I bring home you-know-who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious.
I love Little Bites.
Here you go.
Yes.
Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. The perfect portion of happiness.
Have you always dreamed of a lush green lawn? Get that beautiful curb appeal without the hassle by calling Professional Irrigation Systems. They'll install your new automatic lawn sprinkler system and give you a variety of options and warranties. Don't spend half your day lugging a hose around watering your lawn. Let Professional Irrigation Systems do the work for you. They offer spring activations, backflow testing, mid-season tune-ups, and winterization. Call the pros that have been in business for 20 years. Professional Irrigation Systems. Online at proirrigation.com.
Hi, Chad Hansen with Hansen's Tree Service. If your trees are looking sick or if you have insects that aren't welcome in your landscape, Hansen's can help. Our plant health care program offers tree and shrub fertilization as well as pest management to maintain a great-looking landscape. Check us out at hansenstree.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon from my friends at Zero Res. Welcome to June. That is the official start of summer. Now raise your hand if it means you have a list you have to tackle this summer. The good news is you're not alone, and nobody knows that better than my cleaning heroes at Zero Res. Summer is probably the best time to call Zero Res to get all the nasty dirt, dander, and grime out of your home. This is kind of nasty. Speaking of nasty, did you know that the average home takes in over 40 pounds of dust and dirt a year? So your carpet is the biggest air filter in your home, so it needs some summer loving to keep it fresh and clean. This month's Mark Reardon 97.1 special, 3 rooms of carpet cleaned and sanitized, starting at just $129. This will be the easiest chore on your to-do list this summer because Zero Res does all the work. Don't forget about those air ducts. This month, get $50 off your air duct cleaning. The certified team at Zero Res is going to use their negative air 12-step cleaning process to extract all the crud out of the ducts. Call today. Book an appointment, 474-2020. Make sure you mention my name. Online, ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
It's time to get back together. Back to group hugs and group hangs. Dining in with family and going out with friends. But to get back to the things we love safely, we need to get vaccinated. COVID-19 vaccines are free and proven effective. But if you still have questions, that's okay. It's your choice. Go to mostopscovid.com or call 877-435-8411 to get answers and find a vaccine near you. Because we're stronger together.
Warm weather's a great time to train a new puppy. Mark Cox here from my friends at Petland in Lake St. Louis. They've got the puppies. If you've had a hard time finding one, go to petlandstl.com or just pay them a visit. 6131 Ronald Reagan Drive out in Lake St. Louis. Puppies have been hard to come by, but the owners, Tom and Jeff, have amazing relationships. They can offer the best selection of puppies in Missouri. Again, 636-695-4503, petlandstl.com.
You have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-777-1979. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-777-1979. That's 800-777-1979. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-777-1979. 800-777-1979.
More people than ever are discovering what you already know. 97.1 FM Talk is the place for ideas. A place where free speech is the rule, not the exception. 97.1 FM Talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
Residents in Chicago feel that you've lost control of the city. Now it appears as though you've lost control of the Chicago City Council. Do you owe an apology to the victims of violent crime, the thousands of unsolved shootings and murders and stabbings and random stabbings in the downtown and the south side and the north side and the west side? Do you owe these people any apology?
So once again, sir, I ask you to get your facts right.
These people amaze me. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. Glad you're here. Zach Smith's here with Heritage. He's a legal fellow in the Meese Center for Legal and Judicial Studies at the Heritage Foundation, an amazing organization. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. Thanks so much for having me on today.
So you were writing about what's going on in Illinois with the elections. Is there some hope? Please tell me there's some hope.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have good news. It's not like Chicago has a reputation for having election shenanigans or anything like that.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, not at all. But I mean, look, we joke, but it's a very serious matter. And unfortunately, rather than taking steps to make Illinois and Chicago's electoral process more safe and secure, the recent law passed by the Illinois state legislature and signed into law by Illinois Governor Pritzker will in fact prohibit the state from taking common sense electoral safety measures and will actually make Illinois elections even more vulnerable to fraud and abuse, which is very unfortunate.
Who would want that? I can't imagine. Let me think. I know Ryan's got some questions for you, sir.
Yeah, Zach. So I live in Illinois, and we talk about Illinois all the time. This is news to me. So explain a little bit about what's going on here. So Illinois, obviously, terrible reputation, at least in upstate. Downstate, we're good salt of the earth folks, but upstate, huge problems in Chicago and have been for decades. Everybody just jokes about it at this point. What's changing now? Are these COVID restriction or COVID electoral laws that they're just making permanent?
Some, look, some of it sounds good. They're instructing the election authorities to conduct monthly vulnerability scans of their electoral processes and machines, which sounds fine, but we don't know what that's going to look like. One of the oddities, it would allow sheriffs in Illinois to set up polling places in their jails for those who are awaiting trial or haven't been convicted of anything, which again, might be fine in theory, but you have to ask, are the sheriffs who aren't election officials really going to be able to, keep everything straight, make sure no ineligible voters are voting? But what's really troubling, one of the bill's most prominent features that would make elections less secure, it will establish a new registry that would allow people to permanently vote by mail. And, I've written about it before. My colleague Hans von Spakovsky's written about it. Voting by mail is inherently less secure than in-person voting. And unfortunately, when you set up these permanent registries where ballots keep going out, each election cycle, especially when states like Illinois don't accurately and regularly maintain their voter registration lists, it just creates opportunities for fraud and abuse.
Well, see, that's the problem. We're speaking with Zach Smith as a Heritage Foundation. To Ryan's point, that's the problem. You've got people who are registered to vote, and maybe they move, and then a ballot comes to the house they used to live in, and then another ballot comes to the new house. I mean, we know that's unbelievable, the amount of ballots that can be showing up at somebody's doorstep. And just in one particular case, that can happen. And imagine that all over the entire state, all over the entire country. That's the problem.
Well, and look, let me just give you a highlight of one of the reasons it's particularly problematic in Illinois. Each year, after each election, the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, it asks states to report certain data to them. And one of those involves absentee ballots. And typically, the Election Assistance Commission asks states to identify how many absentee ballots were returned as undeliverable. That way they can measure, how accurate and up-to-date a state's voter registration list is. Well, after the last election cycle, Illinois refused to provide that data, which can mean only one of two things. Either they don't have it because their systems are so poorly maintained or run, or it's so bad that they're embarrassed by it. And, frankly, I don't know that one of those is better than the other one.
Is there any way to force that information to come out, or is it just you're just got to keep knocking and they'll just keep acting like they're not home?
I mean, look, certainly Congress can do more in terms of attaching conditions to funds they provide to the states, saying if you want this money, you have to meet these certain conditions. But again, unfortunately, with a Democratic Congress right now and a Democratic administration, that's not likely to change anytime soon either. So I think the best thing, that we can do right now is make citizens aware of what's going on. Because, just like you were saying earlier, a lot of folks I've talked to, they weren't aware this bill had been signed into law, and they especially weren't aware of exactly what was in it. And so, I think the more we can all start paying attention to these things, making our voices heard, that is certainly a step in the right direction.
And that's important. We're speaking with Zach Smith at the Heritage Foundation. I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey. No, I'm not Annie Frey. I'm in for Annie Frey, though. One of the most important things that you're talking about, Zach, is people getting involved, people paying attention. You're right. I mean, we got to pay attention before the election. Around the country, there were a lot of people who were very frustrated and felt as if Trump really won. I do believe he did. A lot of people do. But a lot of these folks weren't getting people to the polls. They weren't registering voters. They weren't getting involved or paying attention to what was going on at the legislative level until it was too late. And we've got to stay involved all the time, not just the day after the election.
100%. And look, so if anyone listening to your show, especially anyone that's in Illinois or has family or friends in Illinois, 2 actionable items that they can make known to their state legislators that should be passed. Illinois should require photo ID to vote, especially for absentee ballots. It's something they don't currently require. And then Illinois should also prohibit vote trafficking, which is this idea where these supposedly independent groups go out and collect absentee ballots from folks. And so if Illinois really wants to be serious about providing free, safe, secure, and fair elections requiring a photo ID, which, by the way, was endorsed all the way back in 2005 in a bipartisan commission that was chaired in part by former President Jimmy Carter. They said that was a good idea. So if Illinois will require photo ID and prohibit vote trafficking, vote harvesting, those would be great steps in the right direction.
Yeah, we're speaking with Zach Smith from the Heritage Foundation. Another thing that's so scary about it, and I know you saw these videos that they were putting out from the groups that were out there doing the undercover work. People with entire trucks full and cars full of ballots. People going to senior apartment complexes, knocking on doors, saying, "No, we'll take your ballots for you." Which, by the way, in a lot of states now is perfectly legal. And that's something else that people have to be told. No, you don't have to let someone else have your ballot. You need to take it down, or you need to mail it. And a lot of that's just getting the word out to folks.
No, 100%. And that is one of the most unsecure way for ballots to be transmitted from a voter to an election official. And so an electoral best practice would certainly be requiring the voter to either take the ballot in, to mail it in themselves, drop it off themselves, or only a handful of designated people, like a close relative. Certainly you don't want someone, literally delivering, like you said, a truck full of ballots or hundreds of ballots or even dozens of ballots to an election official. And in fact, in instances where absentee ballot fraud has been proven, where voter fraud has been proven, this vote trafficking, plays a role in several of those instances.
Zach Smith with the Heritage Foundation on the phone with us. I got to tell you, living in Illinois and talking about, just the issues, mainly fiscal issues we talk about a lot in Illinois, I am not happy to hear these popping up now, changing our election laws in Illinois, because like you said, the legislature and the governor are Democrats and they will not push back on these things. In fact, they're the ones doing it. So I got to ask you this. First of all, when I show up to vote for at least statewide elections, they never ask for my ID. I'm assuming that's not going to change. They're not going to enact voter ID laws right now. But I do get, even pre-COVID, I get things in the mail or email, and maybe it's just because I'm politically active, or I don't know, maybe I'm just a citizen. I don't know if it's one or the other, about voting by mail. And so you're saying, but that seems to be changing, because it seems to me that I've always been able to vote by mail.
Well, one of the things you want to make sure is that if you're voting by mail, you're requesting it for each election cycle. Each election, you're going to vote by mail. What this new law would do is once you sign up to vote by mail, each election indefinitely, you're going to get an absentee ballot. Okay. You don't have to request it anymore. And so, if you move, heaven forbid, if you die or something like that, unless the state is cross-checking other databases like the death records, Social Security records, maintaining accurate and up-to-date voter rolls, you'll have stray absentee ballots out there floating around. And unfortunately, Illinois is one of the worst states in terms of maintaining complete and accurate voter registration rolls.
Unbelievable. We're speaking with Zach Smith from the Heritage Foundation. You know, one of the things that doesn't get talked about enough, I know you're aware of the issue, but a lot of people don't talk about this much. We keep hearing that, the minorities apparently are too stupid to go get a driver's license, which you need to rent a car, check into a hotel room, cash a check, any of those kinds of things. We already know that. But what nobody talks about is the fact that voter fraud hurts those groups the most, because in minority neighborhoods or the low income neighborhoods, which have all colors of people in them, obviously, in the low income neighborhoods, when there's a lot of voter fraud, all that happens is the people who vote for terrible policies continue to get elected again and again and again. They do nothing for those neighborhoods. They try to enforce things like gun control on people, making it more difficult for people to defend themselves in those neighborhoods. They're the people who are hurt the most by this, not the rich liberals. They're not hurt by this at all. It's the people who are living in the hardest hit neighborhoods.
Well, and I also think it's worth noting, Heidi, how incredibly offensive that view is to Black and minority voters, that somehow they are less capable or incapable of navigating the same systems and requirements that apply to everyone else. And so, we're seeing this in other places too, outside of Illinois. The recent lawsuit filed by the Justice Department in Georgia, alleging that some of the voter integrity measures that state has enacted somehow is disenfranchising Black voters, that somehow creating hurdles to voting for Black and minority voters. It's just absurd. And frankly, it's offensive to those voters.
No question about it. And we just got to get the message out. We've just got to do the best we can. I know Heritage does that every day, but we really need to reach these people and convince them that this is just not okay. And they're the ones who are hurt the most. That's the problem. Zach Smith, Heritage, great talking to you. Appreciate you being here on the Annie Frey Show.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. When we come back, we're going to talk about something a little bit fun. Have you ever gone to a tourist attraction and gotten there, hiked there, flown there? You get there and you go, this is all there is? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I did that last week, and I'm sure you guys have stories too. We'll talk about that next coming up on the on the Annie Frey Show. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
You've worked hard, you've worked tirelessly. Retirement is somewhere in the near future for you. Are you confident that the sacrifice, the time, the effort, the saving that you've put into your retirement, is it going to be enough? If that's a question that you have, if you're not sure if you were prepared, if you're not sure that you're protected, call Thomas Helbig. He can help you get there. Take wherever you are right now to the next level by calling Thomas Helbig at 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494, and schedule a free retirement review with Thomas Helbig and join the host of 97.1 and Annie Frey Show listeners who have talked to Thomas Helbig and made sure that everything that they've worked hard for, you have worked perilously to ensure that you are going to be able to take care of yourself, not relying on other people to take care of you in your retirement, that it's going to work for you just the way you intended. He's going to teach you how to secure your nest egg and provide an income that's going to last you through your retirement and still leave a legacy for your heirs. 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Listen to The Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the course keeps changing right before your eyes. Whoa! And in order to maneuver it, you need an expert by your side. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the tech solutions you need to help you get out in front and stay ahead of the game. Whew. For advice on solutions like XPS 13 laptops powered by Intel Evo platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. When the prospect of divorce becomes a reality, you need a partner that you can count on. If you're a man in this situation, consider contacting Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men navigate complex legal matters for 30 years.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's St. Louis area attorneys online at CordellCordell.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood Parkway, Suite 310, Chesterfield, Missouri, 63017.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base?
If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
My husband's ED was affecting our marriage. When he first started experiencing ED, it was difficult for both of us. We didn't know who to talk to about it or where to get help. HIMSS was our answer. HIMSS connected my husband with a licensed provider online. He was able to get medication to treat his ED at a fraction of the price people pay for the name brand. It was delivered to our door, and guess what? Our sex life is back. It works.
Right now, get your first online provider's visit totally free when you go to forhims.com/joy. Yep, free. No copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Just the care you need.
Thanks to HIMSS, we got our sex life and our marriage back.
To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy.
Weekdays from 6 to 7. Catch the Dave Glover Show on 97.1. It's the best of each day, boiled down to 1 hour. The DGS Highlight Hour. Every weekday at 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
I think the first change you need to make is trust your people. They obviously don't trust their citizens to be able to protect themselves and defend themselves, and criminals know that. And so criminals are absolutely running these streets and running rampant, and crime is surging because of this. And they see that Democrats actually promote these riots and looting and robbing of small businesses, burning down of small businesses. And you have then Senator Kamala Harris even bailing criminals out of the streets. So if you really want to reduce any kind of crime, let's start with the laws that are already on the books and enforce those.
Yeah, how about that? There's a great idea. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. Got Carl and Ryan here, help me get through this, and Mark Reardon coming up in just a few minutes. Having a great time today. I wanted to ask you guys, last week I had occasion to be in Arizona. I was with the Federation for American Immigration Reform. They did a little get together at the border, kind of a rally, had a lot of sheriffs and Border Patrol folks down there, literally at the border fence in Arizona. For some reason, Kamala Harris didn't show up. I don't know why. We were looking for her, but I guess she didn't like dirt roads. Anyhow, we were down there. And while I was in that area the next day, I popped over to Tombstone, Arizona. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yeah.
There's a movie.
You know the movie. Yeah, the movie and all that. I didn't have a lot of time to spend, but I had always wanted to see the Boot Hill Graveyard.
Okay.
You guys into old graveyards? Not into old graveyards at all?
I love ghost towns and stuff like that. I've never done the Western ghost town tour, but it's on my list.
They say that Boot Hill is very haunted, and I'm not even going to address that. I don't know if it is or not, but what I was surprised at, and I actually did a Facebook Live video for people, my listeners back in Vegas, to show them what was going on.
Where can we find that, Heidi?
Heidi Harris Show on Facebook page.
Thank
Heidi
you.
Harris Show Facebook. I actually did a walking tour of it. They give you a little brochure when you walk in, but it's very small. It's like 7 rows or something.
Huh.
That's it.
Disappointing.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was pretty hot, so not really.
Let's get this over with.
We're finished.
Yeah. I did the Chevy Chase thing. Okay, here's Lester Moore. No less, no more. Four slugs from a 44. Got it. It was interesting to go to, but I was thinking about that. Have you guys ever gone to a tourist attraction? You bust your ribbon to get there, and then you go, "Is that all there is?"
I live in a town with one, and I see people do that a lot because Collinsville has the world's largest ketchup bottle.
Yes.
And it's also the horseradish capital of the world. So we're kind of the condiment capital of the world, apparently. And but there's no ketchup in the ketchup bottle. We actually do grow horseradish. So there's fun stuff with the horseradish because it's like festivals and, it's really fresh. But the ketchup bottle is just the ketchup. It's just a thing. It just sits there. There's no museum or anything. I guess you can, find little information if you go in the library about it. But it's just a thing sitting there. And when you drive past it enough, you don't even notice it anymore. But you do see people stopped and taking pictures because it was on their Tiny Towns tour or whatever.
They saw it online.
And I feel sorry for them because I know what they're doing. They're like, oh, there it is. And they take a picture and then they're like, I guess we got to go find something to eat now. There's nothing else to do.
With ketchup.
How large is this ketchup bottle?
It's big.
Oh, it's the size of a water tower. So it's legitimately the world's largest, I guess, ketchup bottle, but
With
there's
no
no ketchup in
ketchup
it. Yeah.
Why is it there? What's the history on that?
So Brooks Ketchup is a very, very old ketchup company that I guess used to have tomato fields all over the Metro East here in the area. And I guess they either painted that water tower just to, make it like a landmark. Yeah, for advertising. Or maybe they actually used it for something with tomatoes. I don't know. But it was, all I know is that it was a legitimate company because my grandma, who may be listening right now, actually.
Hi, Ryan's grandma.
Yeah, she said I don't know if it was for one summer or it was one day, but it didn't last very long. She went out and picked tomatoes for them for a long time, or for one time in the 40s.
And got a nickel.
And back then you had to wear all kinds of clothes because you didn't want to look like you were tan. You didn't want to be tan back then.
Right. Of course not. Yeah.
Because you didn't want to look like you had to work outside because that meant you were not as wealthy.
Wow.
Yeah, because at that point, and he's right about that. You're right, Brian, because at that point, you didn't want to look like a field hand. And then all of a sudden, Coco Chanel went down, I believe, to the Bikini Islands and came back with a tan. And all of a sudden, instead of it looking like you had to work hard, a tan was some kind of, I don't know, an example of the fact that you were the idle rich and you could lie around and get a tan. And once that changed everything, that kept a lot of dermatologists working. That's what it all came down to. All of a sudden, it was a symbol of I can lie on my back and drink something with an olive in it and get tan.
What year approximately would that have been? That
30s,
shifted?
40s, probably 30s and 40s.
Because she said this was in the 40s. I would have guessed early 40s.
That was the coast. It took a longer time to get into Missouri and
That's
Illinois.
probably true. That's very true back then too.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but it's all about marketing. All of a sudden, there was this complete. I'm going to look this up. When tanning became, but it was a Coco Chanel, and she made tanning popular. That's what it came down to. So you can find it. I'll let you find it, Carl, because you're faster at this.
Well, my daughter was on a college trip, and we were in Florida. And we were driving through and she said, let's stop at a roadside attraction because, when you're driving down any major highway in the United States,
it's something to break it up. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she said, there's an alligator farm. Let's go see the alligator farm.
Okay. All right.
3 alligators, the size of maybe your forearm.
Oh, they're cute.
They're baby alligators.
And you just let them bite you because they're cute, right?
Well, and no, you can't touch them. You can't hold them. And it says on the plexiglass, no, they are not for sale. Stop asking.
Three little tiny alligators. That was all they had.
That's a roadside attraction. It counts, I guess.
Now they've got one down in Florida called Reptile World Serpentarium, and I'm a snake person, so I've been down there, and that's where it's going to. But there's some crazy stuff out there that you say to yourself, why did I put all this effort into it? Since we were talking about tanning, I looked this up.
Okay.
Coco Chanel, made tanning popular. Apparently, she fell asleep on her yacht while she was sailing on the French Riviera, and her sunburn immediately came into vogue. See?
In the 20s.
In the 20s.
So the tan symbolized now the life of the idle rich as opposed to being a field hand, and it totally changed everything. Isn't that funny how that works?
Wow. That surprises me that it would have taken that long for the Midwest to catch up. Although back then, it did take sometimes decades.
And there was a
for
war
styles
going on.
to change.
World War I was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a little busy.
And
They've
two.
just gotten over the Spanish flu and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting how perception of a lot of things can just change overnight. Yeah, there's a place in Hawaii called Waimea Falls, and it's really nice. And I guarantee you've seen it if you've not been there. It's it's a waterfall and a nice little lagoon, Okay.
Like Gilligan's
and you
Island?
have to hike. What was that?
Was it like Gilligan's Island?
Well, not quite, but I guess that could be the backdrop. But you have to hike like an hour, as I recall, to get to it. Okay. It's not a strenuous hike, but it's a hike. So you get up there and it's maybe, 40 feet. I'm trying to remember, 40 feet wide or something like that. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But it could fit in a good sized backyard. In other words, it's not.
It looks better on paper.
There are a lot of things that look better on paper.
See, that sounds cool because even if it wasn't that impressive, it's a different climate Hawaii would be.
Yes.
I before we had kids, so this was up until like my early 30s. My wife and I would take, little driving trips. We didn't fly a whole lot. We took a couple of flying trips when we knew we were gonna have kids because we knew it was about to end. But we'd take road trips, once or twice a year just to do something together. And it was a lot of fun. And it was always like, oh, let's stop in these little towns and do these little things. You get to the point where you realize that unless you're talking about Hawaii or you're talking about Maine or somewhere that's just very different from where you live, everything is so similar, and maybe you can find a restaurant that's a little bit different. But for the most part, wherever you go, America's pretty homogenous at this point.
Well, in a lot of ways it is. My husband and I went on a vacation to Maine a few years back, and he said, where do you want to go for vacation? I said, anywhere I could wear a sweatshirt in July.
Yeah.
That's where I want to go. And it was
Upper
beautiful. We went to
Peninsula?
Camden. Yeah, it was, Upper Peninsula. It was absolutely beautiful. But I agree. And of course, I make him stop at every graveyard, and he wants to stop at every car place. They got a car
Why do you
museum
stop
and
at
whatnot.
graveyards?
Because I love to read the history. I'm fascinated by
okay.
history. And especially because we don't have any good ones out on the West. The good ones are on the East Coast, because they're really old, right?
Uh-huh.
And you could read the gravestones. This one died this year, and they were married to that one. I try to put it all together because I'm fascinated by history.
So are you a museum person too then?
Some museums, some are worth going to, some are not. Depends. But I do like history in general, so it's always fun to check out those.
You'd love our
kinds of
history
things.
museum. It's really
We've got some
well
good
done.
stuff here in Missouri, so you're gonna have to take a visit.
I will definitely have to do that. Hey, it's been great to being here for Annie Frey today. You guys are terrific. We're gonna have a couple more days this week to do this,
And they're going to
it's a lot of
sound
fun.
like this.
Explain.
They're going to sound like this. We had technical issues earlier.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well,
but-
don't remind anybody.
Yeah.
No,
we're
our-
almost done. We almost got out of this.
Our boss said, please tell people what happened today. And so,
He wanted you to tell people? Okay.
yes.
So, yeah.
But it's over
we're good.
now.
It's over now, and we're moving forward, and we're all going to be perfect tomorrow. And so you can tune in and, of course, catch this on YouTube. Tell everybody where they can find it on YouTube.
It's the Annie Frey Show page on Facebook and on YouTube. Look up Annie
Okay.
Frey Show.
Where we're doing this live, and you guys are making this a lot of fun, and I do appreciate that. Mark Reardon coming up. He's going to talk, we think, a little bit about the virus, the Delta Plus. Oh my gosh, go back to your houses for another year and a half. There's a new variant.
No thanks.
No.
You know what? I don't think the Democrats are going to do that to us. I'll tell you why. Because of 2022.
They need
Right?
everybody to come
Well,
out
they
and
did it in
vote.
2020, and I don't know.
To get rid of Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, Trump's gone, and they need to hang on to whatever they can in Congress. I don't think they'll do this again. I'm Heidi Harris. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Annie Frey Show. Stay tuned for Mark Reardon.
Due to overwhelming demand, Diamonds Direct is extending our special finance offer through this Saturday, just in time for you to celebrate the 4th with some new bling. That's right, now through Saturday at 7 p.m., you can make any purchase at Diamonds Direct and spread your payments over 5 years without paying a dime in interest. It's easy, it's smart, it makes everything affordable. Diamonds Direct's best offer ever.